And welcome back to the Basil Breen Boombox. I'm here with my very special guest, JHNDOE, aka George O'Malley. For all you Grey's Anatomy fans, season, I don't know what season I dropped off at, but I remember a specific episode where you'll have to dig into the archives for that one. But I've met this man, well, we actually hadn't formally met until today, which has been like, there's been a podcast before the podcast that no one will ever see. But I've seen him probably at the Circle Sessions and a few of the other places where he's more like just a musical performer, but I'm not going to pigeonhole him because I actually don't know. That's why I'm here, to find out who is JHNDOE. But we'll get into that. But I'm really excited to have you on, and I'd just like to start with sort of, how would you describe what it is that you do?
I think I am finding a way to turn my pain into something that could help people. That's the primary thing I'm doing. And I want to find, through doing that, I want other people to find a way to do the same thing. Transmute their pain into something useful for themselves and others. Interesting.
But then it comes to, so that's the fundamental. Then the sort of vehicle for that then is, I would describe a sort of improvised musical wailings and meanderings and singings, if that's a good way of saying it. But so that's what I'm trying to get at. Like what, because I've seen like rapper freestyles, like, you know, I have my own improv stuff, but you're kind of different in a way. Like I think you not rely on, but what I like about yours is the meandering, like it's like you're reaching into something and stretching it out, and I just want to know what is it that you would say, like if you were, let's say, to do a gig, like what do you do?
I think if you want to know what I do,
buy my album on Spotify.
Come and see. I think what I do is different to anybody else. That's what I genuinely think. I genuinely believe what I do can't be fully defined because it hasn't been done yet.
Yes.
And I did that on purpose. Not on purpose to be different, but I think in being fully myself, automatically it set me apart from other people. And if anyone is fully themselves, automatically you'll be different. So I think my style of music it's a mix of a bunch of genres, a bunch of styles, a bunch of inspiration from a bunch of different people, to the point where it's, I do think, becoming something new. Something that I wanted to be that question. I wanted to be the undefined. I think that if you're not doing the undefined thing, you're just, whatever you're doing is probably useless, because all progress is made in the new. All progress is made in what hasn't been done before. So
I've had, because this ties in with my producer Rob, because we've been doing my album, and like I've always been asked, like, well, not asked, but it's like, how do you, when you're uploading the song to Spotify, you have to pick a genre, or you have to people ask you what your influences are, but I've never really had somewhere where I can point and say they influenced me more than this, because I've always just been a sort of a student of music. I've always just listened wide and vast, and always collected anything that felt like it gave me that. There's like a feeling of music that when a song hits me for the first time that I really love, that I can't, whatever gives me that feeling, I'm like, oh, and I go hunting that, and I collect and I listen, and then that's what influenced me. But I couldn't actually say that's what that is. And as a result, now obviously you could say there are, like, someone could point to your stuff and tell you the influences. But for you, it's like I'm not pointing to influences. And I think the problem, what you're alluding to, is that when my producer described because he listens, like he's like an encyclopedia of music, like it's brilliant just talking to him about all this stuff. But he says that he'll hear a lot of let's say Dermot Kennedy, his sound, people trying to sound like Dermot Kennedy,
you see a lot of
or
that
sound like a particular artist or whatever, instead of having the sort of the bravery. It's courage, like, and wherever that comes from, maybe you were lucky that you got to see the light earlier than others. But to be original is to be true to yourself
Yeah.
and your experience. Instead of when you think of, well, I suppose whenever the muse like finds you and comes out of you,
Yeah.
you have to just let that happen without thinking I want it to sound like X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So it's all that kind of, it comes from that place of honesty. I think this like Jacob Collier. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
I don't
He's
think
this
so, no.
high level musician. He hears like microtones, like so the tones in between notes and everything. He's
Yeah.
he's just a savant. But he talks about musical expression as just as a form of honesty. And I
Yeah.
suppose you're and it's vulnerability as well what you do, because like it's the you don't write, or do you, like when
I
you're
don't write. Even when I record, I it's improvised, usually 1 or 2 takes. That's all. Like Wayne, who I did a podcast, Insane Wayne,
shout out to
also
Wayne,
a great podcast.
gets me the best footage.
Yeah. Great photographer too.
Brilliant as
but
well.
he-
Great worker.
Yeah.
Like he's real.
Oh,
like
fucking incredible
gets this
work
done.
ethic.
There's your footage.
Yeah.
And it's just, I love, and it just when you get someone that's good at what they do and you can rely on them, it's such a fucking
It's a
value add.
godsend, because
It's like-
he'll have everything for you. You'd never have to ask for anything with Wayne.
Yeah,
It's just-
that's what I like. And then all the, like, he just gets the shot. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He
Yeah,
knows.
it's-
I just go, in Wayne I trust. But sorry, you were saying on his podcast maybe?
Yeah, he records my studio sessions, and like he can, you can ask him. It's just
Yes.
we don't write. It's I feel like writing, and it might work for other people, but at least for me, I can't sit down. My mind is very fast paced and a little bit chaotic, and I guess could be defined as probably insane.
Yes.
If one were to look at it outside, not
Well,
understanding
I think
it.
everyone is insane.
Yeah,
If you're looking at that, from that measure, if you looked at anyone's brain, they'd be
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, I think everyone is insane
Yeah.
by someone else's definition.
Oh yeah,
everybody.
100%. If your thoughts were always on display, like a banner,
People
above
would be
your head,
terrified of you.
People would be terrified.
Yeah, people would be terrified of
They
you.
would think, oh man, I couldn't even get, like, I try to be as honest and forthcoming as I can on the podcast, but I've had bouts of like hypochondria and terrible sort of thought patterns that, and even just general thought, like horrible thoughts can pop into your head that, because the person that you hope to be and align yourself with mightn't be the person that your ego is trying to like let's say one example could be, I'm walking down the street and I don't know, I'm trying to think of like, let's say someone was gonna die, right? But that meant I got $1 million
Yeah.
or something, right? My compassionate, like, real self is like, oh fuck, someone's dead. But then I'm like, but I get $1 million.
There's a part of yourself saying, "Do it,
I
take
get
it,
$1 million.
take it."
Yeah, that's the thing.
Who are they to you?
Yes.
So I would like to delve into that for a second. Anybody that has thoughts out there that you feel are not your own thoughts, that you know that voice that tells you you're nothing, that voice that tells
Yes.
you you're weak, that voice that tells you you're untalented,
stop.
that voice, that is a real thing. It exists in every man, woman, and everything in between. There's a much quieter positive voice, the one that tells you you can do what you want to do, that you can be what you want to be. Here's the thing. The devil screams and God whispers. So it's important to hone your ability to listen through the screams of the voice that tells you you're nothing. It's never going to go away. It's always going to be there. But if you want to, like you were saying there, maybe you have something you want to be, but your ego self doesn't align with that. Becoming what you want to be, the process of it is figuring out where you want to be, then figuring out the person most likely to live that reality. Then ask yourself, are you that person? Most likely the answer for everybody when you're at that stage asking that question is no, I'm not the person that's going to achieve my dreams yet.
Yeah.
So then comes the process of shaping yourself into the person most likely to achieve your life.
Yes.
But you can only shape yourself into that person by disregarding all negative thought, and it has to be disregarded. You can't say, you can't sit here and rationalize why it's wrong, because then you give time to it, you give energy, you give more attention. You have to, you do not have time. I can't stress that enough. You do not have time to argue with your demons. That's what they want. If it was a conscious thing, and maybe it is, as an entity, negativity wants your attention. So it has to be a constant disregard, a constant, no, on the shit, no, shut your mouth, no, you're weaker than me. Remember, the voice is just a part of you. It's so strong, right? It's a voice so strong that it can floor you on a bad day. It can be so powerful you won't be able to get out of bed. Remember, that voice is one figment of your whole infinite mind. So when you look at it like that, you'll remember how strong you are and how weak it is. It is a servant of your overall, let's say, mental makeup, looking for dominance, looking to a parasite that wants to take control of your whole being.
It relies, the parasite analogy is really good because it actually relies on you giving it energy.
Yeah,
so
it's like it. It's like the monster it's not real. It's only real if you believe in it. So I can say that now to anybody that's listening, that my main purpose on any podcast, with anything I do, with music, with me being here now, is to offer help to people in some way, primarily with getting out of a bad mental place, because I've been in very bad mental places and I've gotten out of bad mental places, and I think that I see so many people now in bad mental places, more so than ever, especially with, after COVID and just with how the world's shaped. People are mentally ill. Everybody is mentally ill, especially the youth. People are killing themselves left and right, especially young men. 1% of men, like 1 in 100 of young men will kill themselves. That's something that, doesn't sit right with me. And that's where the whole JHNDOE thing comes from. The unidentified death, the feeling that these people are dead before they kill themselves. They're almost, anyone I know that's disappeared through suicide, I shouldn't say disappeared, but left this earth through suicide, they were dead a year and a half before they killed themselves. They were starting to make the choice to make the slip. So JHNDOE, I want to catch the people before they slip. I want anybody that's listening now that's slipping, anybody that's listening that feels you're not recognized, that you are John or Jane Doe, that you are the death that's no one's seeing. Maybe your brother or your sister or your mother or your father or your best friend. Maybe nobody recognizes it. Understand you're not alone. Understand I've been there. Understand that the fact that they don't recognize the pain you're going through is most likely because they're going through some issues of their own that has left them emotionally unable to be at their full capacity like they should. So while they should be there for you in an ideal world, as an adult, as we grow up, and even before then, we have to come to the conclusion that maybe people aren't always going to be there for us. But a certainty is that if you say it and you mean it and you believe it, you can always be there for oneself. So while it's kind of discomforting that there's no guarantee anybody's ever going to be there for you, it's an absolute guarantee that if you decide, you will always have one person there for you. Always. And once you have that, you'll be good. You will.
100%. You've touched on a lot there, but just on that last point, I think it's important to have your own back in a way. I had this experience. I've had it many times. I know fundamentally that I have a fundamental belief in myself. Like if people give me praise or negative praise, or negative feedback, let's say, I can kind of I can compartmentalize that because I'm holding myself to fucking as high a degree that I'm aware of and possibly could in everything that I do. I'm always trying to improve. So I'm my own worst critic, but I'm also my biggest fan. Like, I believe fundamentally in what I'm doing, but it takes a while. It takes a while to get there. It takes a while to be able to look at yourself and realize, like, I need to look. Like, if you look yourself in the mirror, sometimes I've gone through periods in my life where I wasn't even able to look myself in the eye in the mirror.
I've had that.
You know what I mean? Where you're shying away from it because you can't do it because you're not there. You're not this person. Just ashamed.
You don't like what you see when you look in the mirror.
Yes.
At a basic level.
But when you can look yourself in the eye, because it's beautiful that we have mirrors that can do this and they're fucking in our bathroom, whatever. But you can have such a deep, profound moment with yourself and realize, holy shit, this is an entity in the
when
world.
you really see yourself, you see
Yes!
yourself in your imperfections, your good traits, your bad traits. You see the sadness in your eyes,
Yes.
maybe the potential. You see the hurt. You see what other people see if you look at yourself long
Yes.
enough, and you can that'll either be a good or a bad thing depending on who you are and how you're acting at that current time.
Exactly.
You might be disappointed, and I've been disappointed. I've looked in the mirror and I've thought, okay, I get why certain people are moving away from me.
Yes.
And then I've looked in the mirror and I've realized I've been far too hard on myself. And I've been
Yes.
like, wow, I have a lot of love for this person in the mirror.
Give
you
yourself
know?
a break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
There's the two sides of it. Like you're so right, and but I think self-love, it's something that see, all these things you hear, right? They're like cliches, like the self, and even meditate, all this stuff, right? But you need to actually experience things for yourself to actually comprehend them in a way.
Yeah.
Like someone could tell you in a business partnership, oh yeah, you have to be careful of X, Y, and Z. I've got burned in business before, and you don't learn. Now, if someone talked to me about business, I'd be like, whoa, like this is what needs to happen, blah, blah, blah. Don't do this, do that. But I didn't get, you only kind of, it's terrible, but we only learn when something gets fucking scarred into our skin in a way.
Absolutely.
And but that's also the if you experience what I'm trying to point at here is try and look at yourself and don't be afraid. Like I think there's a cultural kind of idea of it's in the UK and New Zealand they call it like tall poppy syndrome. Like so you cut down the tall if you poke your head up and say, oh look at me, you get cut down right, in the poppy fields, right, wherever they are. I don't know I actually don't know what it is, but if you like, so we try to keep, like, you'll see it. It comes in our humor. Like if you wear like, oh look at that t-shirt, you don't wear that before. Oh no, it's with the hair. Like, oh, look at your hair. Where'd you get a hair? How many times does someone just say get a haircut?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
I feel like that's people's way of discreetly dragging you down. People will hide a lot of negativity behind jokes. Make no mistake, you'll encounter a lot of people and they will make gentle but consistent fun of everything you do that steps outside of the lines. And those people, watch out for them.
Yes.
Because someone that's actually great, student, you know,
brilliant.
he has a line in one of his songs. I think it's or he's like, all our secrets are cemented in the center of jokes. So there's truth in all jokes, right? So if someone's always putting barbed comments towards your way and jokes, they're probably jealous of you. Likewise, if someone's always making self-deprecating or kind of dark humor, those people tend to be suffering in some way, I've found. You know, there's always there's some grain of truth behind someone's sense of humor. Always.
That's so brilliant. It's kind of like a Freudian slip in a way, because let's say, for example, before I got braces, my teeth were pretty bad, right? But I never really, I had a kind of confidence about me, but I didn't have a confidence with women, let's say. And I'm still kind of learning to, you know, that's the kind of area in my life where I haven't got enough courage to even ask like women out. And so not that I'm looking for that at this point, but there should be no reason why, if you're attracted to a woman or whatever, that you like, in reality, what's really blocking you from going over and saying things. But like, it's like that's an area of my life that I'm going to improve on. But before, when I never noticed someone with good teeth, like I make, oh look, they have great teeth. So you can hear it in what I'm saying. Like, look at their skin. Like, they've no wrinkles.
You hear someone's
something.
wants.
Yes,
you know,
hear
like
their wants.
say the guy that really wants a nice car. Every time someone goes buying a nice car, damn, look at that car.
Look at that car. Look at that thing.
Yeah, or the guy that has no board. He'll see a fella with his board and a really nice, beautiful looking woman. He'd be like, look at her. Oh, look at her. People are always pointing out the thing they desire.
Exactly.
Constantly.
True. Exactly. Or they're pointing out in jokes. When you're trying, like what you pointed at there, which is so it's brilliant, because the secrets are hidden in the jokes, because people can be so evil and they can be trying to bring somebody down with just little pokes here and there. And just I hate that, because there's a difference between let's say we get to know each other a bit, right, and then you're like, oh look, you've that crazy hair, Basil, or whatever it is, like you like I'm loud, I'm a loud fucker, but like you know that I'm okay with you saying that about me, right? And there's a line, let's say that because I think. Fundamentally, if you wanted to make someone cry, like anyone could make probably anyone cry if you were just evil and you wanted to
Some
go
people get off on crossing someone's line.
Yes.
They get off on the look on someone's face when they feel weak because of something you said. It's power. Everything's about power.
Yes.
People are we live in a society now where people have been essentially stripped of every power they have. They don't really have any freedom. Truth be told, people don't have financial freedom, place freedom. They don't have freedom of speech. Everyone's scared to say what they want to say.
Yes.
Everyone's scared of what someone's going to think of them. So people are very, very caged in, and they're looking for any type of power they can exert in their day-to-day life.
Yes.
Because if you encounter actually individuals who have some form of power or pull in their day-to-day life, or even just a power in themselves, a confidence and an energetic pull, they don't feel the need to drag others down because they're too busy lifting themselves up.
Yes.
But if you're not in the process of lifting yourself up, it's a lot easier to pull something down than it is to lift it up. So a lot of people choose to grab at the coattails of the people above them rather than push themselves up, because that's a lot harder. It's so much easier to do this.
Yes, because what you're alluding to is like jealousy and inspiration. They're like two sides of the exact same coin.
Yeah.
You can look at someone and feel like that. And jealousy could be sometimes a pointer to an inadequacy or something that you want in your life. So it can be useful, but it's jealousy, I think, is different from inspiration, because jealousy, it means that if you failed, I'd love that. If you failed, I'd love for fucking you to not amount to anything.
Yeah.
I'd love that.
Inspiration is being impressed by the person and wishing you or aspiring to also do the same thing.
Yes.
Jealousy is when you don't like the fact that they have it.
Yes.
You know, it's like, I'm not okay that this person can do something I can't, or they have something I don't. And I find that people, particularly in this country, actually, the Irish, just if I ever get successful, please don't begrudge me, Irish people. Please, Irish population. I did not come from a good background. I am not someone who, just don't begrudge me of my success.
I didn't want to be any bad.
Please, because I feel like there's this thing, when an Irish person initially gets successful, we celebrate them, and then they get a bit too much, and people are like, that fucker, that arsehole. That they feel like, I feel like Irish people feel that someone gets a little too big for their boots, and then they start to get, I don't know, there's just some underlying begrudgery in Irish society.
Yes.
They don't, we really want our Irish people to succeed on an international platform, but when one does, we tend to tear them down and begrudge them, or at least the media does. And the people, we seem to get off on, we never, like, say some countries are very, very patriotic and they heap praise on their idols. We seem to be in the habit of heaping casual criticism on our idols. Like, how can we find fault with them?
Oh, you won't do that. Look at the head. Look at him now. Look at him now. Look, he's
like,
fucking. I told you he was a cunt or whatever. But so let's try look at this then from a different point of view, right? Because let's say, American culture, there's like that optimism that you're talking about, but there's like a naivete as well. So so there's a positive side to, let's say, don't get too big for your boots.
I like it because you're held accountable in some way. You're made to be human. So if you start acting stupid,
it's like you need someone to like count you in, but there's a positive and negative to everything, right?
Yeah.
So the positive side is, it's like, okay, well, if you're like, if I'm about to run out and get hit by a car and someone goes, no, stop running around, you're going to get hit by a car, that's stupid. It's like, oh, okay, I listen to that. But then it gets to the stage where if anything outside the norm becomes negative, like, oh, you can't do that, like, you need to go to college, you need to not go do this thing, what are you thinking about? I've heard one lad in particular described a story where he was telling his friend that he wanted to go back to college and do a furniture thing or something, right? And your man turned around and goes, why would you want to do that for? It's just like, why would you say that to somebody?
Yeah.
It's so, instead of going, brilliant, happy fucking days. Why don't you go for that?
Yeah.
And it just hurts, man.
That's it. One thing, like never do that to yourself or others. Never stamp on your own dreams. Never stamp on someone else's dreams. Let people have fucking dreams. If it doesn't work out for them, okay, at least they tried. It's not our place to say you can't do that.
Yes.
Or you shouldn't do that.
100%.
Ever.
So the reason, and it's something that I'm only kind of, it's something I'm learning. Like before, when I started music and started learning guitar and everything else, like when I first went to get my first, let's say, busking speaker, I felt like so inadequate going into the shop to buy the speaker because I'm not a musician or whatever.
Yeah.
I felt like, I couldn't even go in to look at guitars because I was so, I'm so like, I need to come out as a musician. I'm not good. I'm saying to myself in my head, I'm like, I'm not good enough to be considered like
imposter syndrome.
Yeah. But not even that. It's like, it felt like I wasn't allowed into the party or in my head anyway, right? So and then even singing, like I sang a lot when I was younger, but it was only when I started picking up the guitar, I was afraid to sing for years in front of people. And now if you look at me, you might think, oh, look at him, he's able to just sing at any time. But there was a time where I had a shame around singing.
Yeah.
I was scared to sing. And so I've unlearned all these kind of bad patterns. And I think what I'm trying to point to was that, actually, I don't know. How did we get to this point?
I can't remember.
We're after a
I'm finding it hard to keep proper subjects. I keep going off on tangents. And
But the point is, I think, is that you need to allow, like, the fear of failure. I think will tie a little bit back to what we were saying for the listener. To put yourself forward, right, is to basically put your head in the chopping block and like put egg on your face if it doesn't work out, right? But that's the wrong way to look at it. It's like, why not? We're all gonna die, right? Like why not try do something brilliant with your life, brilliant to you, whatever you think brilliant is.
Yeah.
And something that I think is it takes courage. But the thing I think, like as humans, like courage. The courage to step out of the norm or step into who you want to be, and you can't just say tomorrow I'm going to be like gigging at the Tree Arena. It's like to become the person.
It's a process.
Yeah, it's a process or whatever. Or even you need to start small, but the steps, once you start the first step, the next step will make itself present in a way.
Yeah.
And each step then becomes present until eventually you're like doing a fucking podcast with John Nolan.
That's one thing you need to understand. If you want to manifest something in your life, if you want to achieve something, see yourself only in the outcome. Don't try understand how you're going to get there. Don't try lay out the process. The universe or God or whatever you want to call it, the power, it is present. There is something. There is some power. It's not nothing. So I don't know. Sorry if you're an atheist. I was an atheist actually, and then I was agnostic. Then I studied all different types of religion, and I ended up kind of laying somewhere around the belief that there is a God and a creator, be it, definitely not a conscious mind the way we define consciousness. It's far less limited. But there is a power that will serve you once you decide on something. And whatever it is, well, I don't understand it. No one can say they know what it is. What we do know is that it serves you. What we do know is that anybody that's reached some level of success, there's evidence of something that seems to almost it just unfolds for you. It's synchronicity, coincidence. Things will align in your favor if you believe they will. Just like when you really believe you're unlucky, when you believe you're going to have a bad day, when you get out of bed and one thing bad happens, and then you're like, oh, it's a bad day, and bad things happen. You were complicit in that in some way, in your decision that it was a bad day. Yes. It will become whatever you believe it is.
Yes, and so you could say, okay, at a super skeptical level, then it's like, well, even if you didn't think that there was anything, just the fact that if you think you have a bad day, just at a very practical level, you're going to look at the world through that lens. Like when it starts raining, you're going to think, oh, it's raining and everything's bad, right? Instead of thinking, oh, I haven't actually been out in the rain in so long.
Yeah.
Haven't felt the drops on my skin
Yeah.
in years. Like, I'm going to go out into the rain.
Exactly.
And then you'll have a different experience because the tape in your head was different at a practical, fundamental level. And then what you're alluding to is that I think whenever you step onto the path with a fundamental conviction and belief and a sense of love and purpose, that it does seem that there's some sort of conspiring.
Yeah,
that,
the universe conspires to make it happen.
in a weird, if like it's right. So it's hard for me to say, like, I'll never say that I know everything 100. I don't know what the fuck is going on, right?
Yeah.
But to me, it feels like there is something going on, right? There's obviously something going on, the fact that we're sitting here, right? And you'll never know until you know, but like, I say maybe when you die, who knows? Like, I'm not going to try and enact laws and policy based on my beliefs, but it's hard as a human and a pattern recognizing machine to like live a life and not think that there's some sort of like narrative force at play. Like, it's hard to be like,
Terence McKenna believed that we were kind of building up to this great culmination, some great event at the end of history.
Time Wave Zero.
They believe in there's certain books you can read, hermetic principles, and if you go into a lot of the Eastern religions, they kind of seem to believe that all of existence is coming out in this great big expression of whatever mind or thing creates this, and then is in some way it's gonna reach completion or perfection or peak alignment and oneness at some stage. And that seems to be a lot of people seem to come to the conclusion that we're here to at least individually create and evolve, and then that plays into us. If we could all individually create and evolve, not just artistically create, but create things like that may benefit mankind in some way, any form of creation, even the creation of yourself, the creation of building yourself into what you want to be, creating and evolving as a species seems to be our purpose. Just constant evolution. No other animal has that. That's what separates us as human beings. We have this unsatiable need to progress. We are not happy. If we see something doing something, we want the way. We didn't have claws and teeth, so we made guns. We didn't have wings, so we made planes. You know, we are so unsatisfied as a species, and that's our superpower. So I think that's our purpose here, or at least the faintest grasp that I can get of it. We have to evolve. We have to become better. We cannot stay stagnant. You cannot stay static in life, or you will get depressed. You will get down, and it's just a fact. If you are depressed or you are down in life, look at your life, and I guarantee you, in some way, it's not moving. Something's not in motion. Be it your mind, you're stuck in a state of thought. Be it your action, you're stuck in a habit or a self-destructive way of being. There is something that's not moving. Whenever something comes, life is in motion constantly. That's the nature of it. So whenever something comes to a standstill, it seems to cause problems. Everything else has to move around it, and it's like, it's like if one cog just stopped turning, everything else starts to jam up. So if one part of your mind stops turning, like say the constant job we have as people to disregard the negativity. If that cog stops turning even for a minute, the disregard stops turning even for a minute, bang, that cog stops. Now you're letting yourself be doubtful, and watch 15 seconds later the other cogs are going to start jamming. Now your performance is actually going to get worse. So it's very important to stay in motion. Flow state is incredibly important. That's how I improvise. That's how I do music the way I do. I think I live life almost constantly trying to remain or maintain this flow state, not just when I'm performing, but constantly, because it's the optimal human way of being. If you're second guessing and thinking, and all failure lies in second guessing and some form of mental anxiety. And I can say that, having failed at many things, when I do fail or when I see someone else fail, there's always this split second right before where you're not sure. When someone fucks up a note when they're singing, there's always this split second right before they open their mouth where you see it in their eyes, they're not confident.
They thought about
when
it.
someone
They
gets
think.
hit in a boxing match and they go down, you see it, you slow it down, you see the fear in whoever got knocked down. You see the doubt, the second guess. So it's like when you're riding a bike, when you're, first getting started, it's the doubt. That's where you're wobbling. That's where you're falling. Once you get going, once you're in motion, it's very hard for things to fall.
Yes.
So don't stay still, people. Don't stay still, please.
What you're describing, like the cogs getting stuck is a brilliant kind of way of putting it, because it's the thinking that is like this. It's like the sticks in the spokes. The thinking gets in the way, and the judgment gets in the way. So like what you're describing there, like let's say if you look at like failure, like it's the thinking. Like failure is just a judgment on what that thing was and that it was a failure. Now you could say, all right, you were trying to jump over a bridge and you fell. So like there's clear failures, but a lot of the time it's how you perceive the failure.
I would like to actually to keep that point. I would like to pull people's attention to this. So as he said, there's only failure in perception. A lot of people say, okay, yin yang, obviously there's the basic understanding.
Yes.
The polarity, dark, light. But notice on the yin and yang, there's dark in the white and there's white in the dark. And that's the most important part of it all.
Yes.
Not the fact that there's polarity, but to understand the two dots, to understand that there's the potentiality for great darkness in every good happening or perceived good happening.
Yes.
And there's the potentiality for great good and light from the darkness. So I feel like I in my nature, or at least in my music, I could say very heavily focused on the white spot that comes from the black. That's what I think, at least my music and my life is. That's the process I'm stuck in. The making of light from darkness, the making of good from bad.
Yes.
And so it's also very important to understand that the dark lies in the white as well. So with benefits, with things like fame, with things like money, with things like popularity, comes the opportunity for temptation and excess and the ability to fall into and serve whatever bad habits you already had, be you addictive, be
and
you...
suddenly the dark becomes the white. Like
exactly.
It just switches over.
It can just... One can spawn from the other at any moment.
They need each other, but yet they that's why they are the same. And it's hard to... These are big ideas, and it's hard to point at them with language. But this object, it tries to fundamentally describe the duality and the nature of existence itself in a way, in such a beautifully poetic way that you just described there. And it's just so interesting that they came across, like, it's like one of these objects, this artifact of humanity, that it's just a fucking circle with circles and colors, but it's like, oh my god, it encapsulates
crazy.
so much. It's like the circle of fifths as well is like a kind of fundamental musical object, let's say, that like encapsulates so much meaning in just like this little circle. But I just want to come back to just thinking, because with the improvisation, right? You need to, what I found anyway, and it's like with anything, I showed my brother how to drive, right? Because he's learning how to drive. And I was like, oh, you need to move into this, move into that. But I haven't been thinking about driving, because I've been doing it for like maybe 3 years now. So I've just like automatized everything. So I was showing him how to drive. And then when I was in my car next, I started thinking about the driving, and it started messing me up, because I'm like, what am I doing? I can't. I'm thinking about it, and it was actually getting in the way of the driving then. And it's the same with improvising. I find, let's say if I say a particular sentence, and I need to in my head, I'm like, I need to rhyme with that sentence. The need to rhyme gets in the way of, like, that's the thinking. It's like you're in front of all these people, and then for that split second, I'm like, oh shit, I can't. As I'm speaking, I know that I can't find a word, and then it's already too late, and then I'm like, I should have just Float. Why did I
Yeah.
get in the way?
Yeah.
But so what when you're doing improv? So how did like when you first started sort of down this musical road? Let's say what how did you come to understand? Because for me, improvisation, like when I'm in my car, I'll improvise a lot. I'll just be coming up. I'll just be like, gee, I'd love to just record it, like just for my own self, but just to show people how insane it can get, and and maybe let people realize like it's okay, and like
Yeah.
because it's cause there's such weirdness in if you really improvise where you're not worried about judgment, like the stuff that comes out
It's
can
incredible.
be just it's incredible, and it's really like whoa, you can learn so much about
Yeah.
yourself in a way because you're letting like the subconscious kind of become conscious.
There's power in that. Anybody that just, again, one of the things with power is that our energy, you can't be handed the way. Someone can only give you hints. You have to do your own research. You have to do your own progress. No one can progress you spiritually. No one can elevate you. You can only elevate yourself. Someone can tell you things that might elevate you, but it's up to you to delve into them. If you do want to elevate, understand, look up supra consciousness, not super consciousness, supra consciousness. The belief that there's an underlying connected consciousness that it lies underneath all mind.
Yes.
And that's what I know it's real because I work with it. I know it's real because it's never failed me. At least with music, it's a field of pure potentiality that you can draw unlimited creativity, unlimited ability from.
Yes.
Connect to super consciousness, and you can open up the doors of creativity.
Yes.
All perceived genius lies in that mind. No one's really intelligent. No one's really talented. My talent, my perceived talent is not my own. It's that mind's. Anybody's ability is not their own. It's that mind's.
Yes.
And you will notice that great men, great women, but when you witness them, there seems to be something beyond themselves they're drawn on, all of them. And that's that subconscious underlying power.
Yes.
So super consciousness, study it, and study the law of cause and effect. Understand that everything in your life is a result of something that already happened, either something you taught or something you did, or usually a combination of both. You taught something and then did something as a result, and now you have a result. So if you've a state of mind or a state of physicality you wish to change, you are looking at an effect. And if you want to change the effects, you got to change the causes. So if you wish to change your life, again, you must change the cause. And that comes back to that thing I said of, what's your dream life? What's the ideal person most likely to live that life?
Yes.
And that person, what you have to understand, the dream life you want, right? So there's a law of cause and effect. The dream life you want is but an effect. That's all. Your dream life is an effect. I cannot stress that so much. This will help you if you listen. Your dream life is just an effect. So then you come to the conclusion, I am the cause. Through the alteration of self and how you are causing your life, you can just change the effects.
Yeah.
And it sounds a little too simple. It sounds like, I can't just, so it's so hard to say to people, like, if you just changed how you act and how the moves you're taking, your life would unfold completely differently. It's a very simple statement.
If
that,
for example, if you could work backwards, let's say there's a potential future where you have something that you desire to have, or a life that you have. If you could work backwards from that, then you could see the effects. You know what I mean? But it's hard for us to rationalize. But it's that what you're describing is a beautiful thing, because you have to realize that there is a person that you could become, but you have to start stepping into that, and it's not gonna happen overnight. And with my whole journey, even from I was planting seeds of like of just having a bigger life than what was, let's say, given to me years ago. Like when I was a young, like 10, let's say it's been 10 years in the making, and it might take a long time to kind of start seeing the fruits of it. But like I'm really lucky now. I've with my job that I'm doing, I'm only doing like 2 days a week. I'm getting really well paid. But that wasn't always the case.
Yeah.
I had to struggle. I had to move away. I had to like earn. I had to become this person. I had to earn my musical stripes. But I knew fundamentally that I wanted more, and I wanted to become something. Even though at the time I didn't even understand fully what that meant. And it's only with hindsight, looking back, that I'm like, holy shit, like the person that I've become now through this transformation, I had no,
you couldn't imagine it.
I couldn't imagine!
You couldn't see this version of yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm just like so grateful that like whatever I always kept like, there was something fundamental. And that's kept, and as I'm finishing up this album and stuff, like it's becoming like, there's so much going on with my life, let's say now, that I'm like, holy shit, this has been it has been a real journey, but I'm getting back in touch with that person who, I remember I used to cycle to work up in this warehouse and up in Oberstown, and like this when I start getting into like affirmation. This when I start reprogramming my brain, let's say, and like with this like positive affirmation and trying to. That's where I really feel like on them cycles. I'd be going up a hill, and there was this big hill every fucking morning, right? And I'd just be like I'd be getting the feeling of I didn't know what I was going to achieve or what it was. But I was just giving myself that good vibe, like, oh yes, I did it, right? And then when I get to I'm like, no, the metaphor was I'm cycling. I'm like, come on, you just got to put in that work, like everything's gonna work out. And then I was imagining the feeling of success, whatever that meant, right? And then when I got to the top of the hill, I'd be like, I did it, whatever it was, right? And that started reprogramming my brain and realizing that I could go out into the world and start doing things. And I was only remembering that's like that. Oh shit! I've been trying to reprogram and become a person for many years, and I'm still not finished that journey. But you have to plant the seeds, and you don't even understand what's gonna grow.
Yeah. Here's the thing about asking for more. As someone who has less right now, you don't understand what more is. If you're sad right now, and I've been very sad, or if you're, say, broke, you don't understand. You may want, say, happiness, or you may want wealth, but until you manifest it, you can't actually comprehend the gravity of the reality you ask the universe for. Oftentimes we ask for something, and it's only when we receive it. When we receive what we asked for, and almost we didn't judge it, we didn't really expect it, but we asked for it without thinking it wouldn't happen.
Yes.
And then it does, and it shocks you. You oftentimes don't notice it right away, and then you look back, and it's that thing of you planted the seeds, and you might not be where your end goal is, but you're so far along the path that you are unrecognizable from the person that started out. You are arguably further than where you wanted to go in the first place.
Yes.
The only difference is when you pass where you used to want to be, now you have a new goal set in the future.
And you forget to look. You look back.
Exactly. You forget that you're probably already past where you once decided you wanted to go. You just set new goals.
Yes.
And we get this thing of we never actually take a moment to sit and say, Jesus Christ, look how far you've come. Look how much you've done. Look how much you've became. And that's important.
Yes. You need to look back and give yourself a pat on the back, like every year or whatever it is, even if you came through something. There's always something of worth, and this is important because the main programming that you have to kind of do is program your brain, the lens, like I think I've always kind of been inherently optimistic. Like I've been cursed with the disease of optimism, right? Where everything is brilliant. I think you're brilliant. Everything is fucking great, and that lens of looking at the world through that lens, for a better use of a better word, has helped me kind of always maintained like a high level of energy from what I'm doing, because I could always see the value in the good. I never was like, oh, there's no point in doing this, no point in doing that. But it's just so funny when you look back and you just forget the person that you were, and you forget, oh shit, like, and it's hard for me to just from a level of understanding of myself and like my purpose in this life at this very point, at the tip of the spear, it was so unknown to me. Like even a few months ago. And it's like every fucking week I'm developing more.
The more you develop, then what would have been a month's work for you is fit into a week, and then a day becomes a month, and it's like you're doing. Literally, it can get to the point where your past monthly output is your daily output.
Yes.
Or for some people at a certain level, your yearly output or someone else's yearly output can be your daily output.
Yes.
Genuinely.
And in terms of growth, in terms of like your actual understanding of yourself and your existence and whatever that means to you and what you're actually doing. And it's crazy how it can just be a bit of insight, a little bit of insight. Like I even just this podcast straight away, I'm just like, oh, the devil shouts and the God like whispers, right? That's such a great, powerful way of just encapsulating that. And I didn't have that as a little bit of tool. Now I have that. Like, so insight and language, they give you, the more tools that you have, it's like the more your brain can express and understand the world with and use as tools.
That's another law of the universe. So there's 7 laws of the universe in hermetics. The one I've already spoken on is the law of cause and effect. Another one is the law of relativity. So everything is something relative to something else. So it's very important, if you seek to understand things better, relate it to something, so that you can understand it better. That is why, say, great religious figures seem to use a lot of parables and metaphors and stories, because it's an excellent way for the human mind to understand things that they might not have been able to turn into a habit or a long-forming, remembered thing that they now change the way they act because of it. You have to find some visual image to project for people, and that thing of offering people a tool, an extra thing in their kit, that's my main goal. Like if you whatever you're here looking for, if you're looking for artists, you're looking for someone to relate to, you're looking for someone's art, I might not be right for you. I'm probably not right for you if you're not into some form of, if you are not suffering in some way, if you are not and my music's not going to be for everyone. Primarily, it's for the people that need something. If you're in an okay place,
it's hard for you to say who it's actually for. In a sense, you might have this idea of who it's for, but you'd be so surprised at who else outside of that circle could actually pick up from it. So I know what I know what you're aiming at. I know what you're aiming at.
I'm aiming at people that need that extra tool in their toolbox.
That's what you're aiming at. But it's like you're shooting with like this arrow that has a grenade on it and it explodes a little bit.
It'll end up hitting people you didn't expect.
Yes.
Like I've had people say at shows and stuff come up and people I wouldn't expect to relate, literally, like you said, relate, and it's that thing of I'm always being surprised with who I can relate to and how I can relate to them, because I'm going out there with the intention of like, all right, I have some things I believe that I'm aware of that I think others might not be, and that is the power that I can offer people. I can give them little pieces or tidbits of knowledge and tools despite my youth that I think I've become aware of, and this will help people in their journey. But you often think that maybe someone, you might view them and you might think they know it, they don't need the help, they don't need the tool. But that could be the very person that needs to hear what you have to say.
Yes.
That could be the very person that benefits the most. So you're very right in saying don't overlook, don't exclude your audience. So
just have what you're aiming at and have a fundamental belief in that purpose. But it's so hard for us as limited human beings to understand with our limited consciousness the effect that our actions are having in the world. Like we can't like, so imagine you, right, John, like I have there's a version of you that exists in my head and there's a version of me that exists in your head. And then we exist in other people's heads. Right? So there's different entities of us. And then there's a recorded entity now of us that's like always on the internet.
And then every person that watches this, you're going to form an opinion of each of us. And they're going to have a vision.
Like what we think.
Because
it comes from it comes from their consciousness puts their spin on it, let's just say. Like positive, negative, whatever way they look at the world. And then that, like when I was doing sketch comedy with my brother, we'd have like throwaway lines that we didn't think were that funny, and then someone come up to me and be like, man, that bit where you said about that thing, and I was like, oh, what? That wasn't the funny bit. The funny bit was the other bit. So we know all we can do is move forward with things that we fundamentally believe in, and the offshoot of that is that one thing that I've thought so deeply about what is my purpose as whatever entity this is. And like one thing is to try and bring joy. I want to like all my interactions and to bring joy to the world, but I also want to inspire. And it's not like I'm taking this fucking. I'm not like you can inspire people in so many little tiny ways. Like you don't have to change. You don't have to change. Like let's say this podcast, right? Even if it was only going out to like. It's all we're gonna listen back to it, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna be impacted by what we're saying right now. That's fucking brilliant in itself. It's like because listening back to yourself. What I've learned so much about myself in this last year doing the podcast, right? But then there's the offshot of like, oh, and then other people, and then and then lives are fundamentally changed through conversation and understanding. And if we can try and, perpetuate that as we're moving through this world in everything that we do, just being able to say things that maybe people are afraid to say. And like, that's what you give. I think you gave to me when I seen you was because when I was improvising, it was more for like comedic effect, or I never thought about serious improvising. Like I did on my own time, but if I'm in front of a crowd, I'm just a little monkey boy, let's say. Like but I like that's part of like my
bringing joy to people.
Yeah, exactly. But you brought but there's you can because comedy can be used as a defense mechanism. It's you're hiding a part of yourself.
Absolutely.
In a way. But with your stuff, it's super fucking vulnerable, I think, because it's like you're speaking like to a truth, let's say, that's being spoken in the moment, and it's what is in your. It's like you're letting the people know.
Yeah.
In your
whatever
head.
I'm feeling then that day. Yeah.
So what when you go up on stage, like, is there anything? Because I know, let's say there's this really good improviser, Mark Riboulet, and he does like piano, he'll do loads of stuff, but if you look at his performance, you can see that he builds up a song. Let's say he'll start with like a little drum beat, then he'll put chords on, he'll put bass, so you can break it down systematically and say, okay, there's kind of a template there, but he is improvising, like he's coming up with a new beat, a new bass, a new everything, but there are kind of little structures. So when I'm rhyming, and there's another guy, Harry Mack, he does
I know Harry, yeah.
Brilliant, right? But there's a video he shows of his training methods, right? So instead of saying, like, imagine someone throws the word glass at you. You go, I love glass and I love ass, right?
Yeah.
It's a fact, if you start with glass as the first bit, it's actually not as good as if you go, I like ass and I like glass. Because glass is the punchline. So when he's improvising, he'll practice... instead of like, because my instinct is to go for the word, like, oh, there's a tree and I'm happy to be, instead of saying I'm happy to be and there's a tree. So flipping it actually is more satisfying to the person. Yeah. Because a punchline is at the end of a joke or whatever. So I was wondering, do you think about structures? I
don't think about structure. I find people aren't impressed by one word rhyming with another word. That doesn't like that's something.
What? That's my whole life.
I know. If I could offer you one thing for your process as a musician, I would say never worry about rhyming one word with the next, because people don't care. People want something. They want something to strike their heart.
Yes.
And me rhyming, something with something else.
Yes.
Orange for orange. Orange.
I went for the hardest
one. No one's gonna be like, oh wow. Someone might be like, oh, that's crazy as wordplay. But at the end of the day, I find it's the emotion and what you're feeling behind what you say that strikes people. Yes. You might not say it perfect. You've seen my performances. They're not perfect. They're very unpolished and raw. Yes. And Miles Davis had something he said that no note was wrong. It was only wrong based off what you played next.
Yes.
So you'll see that thing of my music being kind of stretched out. that gives me time to never fail.
Yes.
Because there's no note that's bad if you can
You need to
catch it. And that's kind of, it's like the light in the darkness thing. So the start of a note could be the start of, that could be the point where if you lose confidence while you do a certain note and it goes a certain way, be it on a guitar or singing,
Yeah.
losing confidence at that point is where you fuck up the song.
Yes.
Whereas if you believe that the next note will complement it, there is always a note to complement a note musically. No matter how bad it could sound, there's a note that makes it perfect.
Yeah.
So
it's like a sentence. I heard Jacob Collier, I actually literally watched a video today about this. So there's no wrong. No, he must have internalized this idea from Miles Davis because he's a massive jazz guy. But he uses the term if you justify it. So you can justify the note in a way. Like it's not, maybe you just haven't set up the right context, or like if you do a string of notes, there's always a way to justify the next existence with another note in a way, in a context. So there's no real any chord or anything can go with anything.
Some of the noises I make are strange. It's very grunty, screamy, growly. It's very it can be quite aggressive. I'm shouting, I'm screaming sometimes, but it's a strange, you can do a strange sound or type of music, or you can, it can almost not seem like music at times. And if you justify it, like say I can scream or make a certain type of sound, but if it's justified, like say I've done very harsh, screamy, loud notes, and that's where people really react. And in my head, I listen to them, and to me that it sounds too harsh. I would wonder, like, are people gonna think, damn, this dude's a bit, Jesus,
Yeah.
But people respond to it and they like it because it's like, oh, say if it's not fully in tune, but they hear the pain behind it, they hear the rawness behind
the humanity.
it. Yeah, the humanity. So if you can justify how you sound with how you feel,
people will, it doesn't need to be this musically quantized, pitch perfect performance.
Yeah, not at all.
It's just, and that's why I like about so there's a huge separation between what you're describing and what I've been doing the last few months with recording music. Is just, it's the total opposite of what you're describing, because you're creating this sort of artifact in the world, like the improvising. It's more like, this is the whole recording thing has muddied the waters, and I think we're going to go back to a place where it is just more improvised, because I'd say it's more a sense of feeling, and there's this sense of once we start with pen and paper, that everything needs to be recorded if we're going to lose it, right? And with improvising, you let go of all that. You let go of ever having to need. Oh no, we need this. Like, it happened. Like we can there's a freedom in that. And then also with people, when people understand it's improvised, they give it way more. They'll give it loads of leeway. They don't really give a fuck what you do, because it's like, oh well, he's literally coming up with this now. So it actually that gives it, with that initial lens, it almost. That's great in itself. So anything after that is just great.
It's like you could improvise a mediocre song and people will be like, well, you fucking improvised it. So then if you do a good song, they're like, what?
Yes, exactly.
And then if you mess up, it's like, who cares? You were improvising.
It's like, you don't really, it's hard to mess up when you're improvising.
You can't. I can actually say it. I don't think I have so far. Like, I've never had a show where I've got off and up and like, I feel I really failed there. I feel that went horrible. Even if it's been not up to scratch, the response has always been incredible. I don't think I've ever felt a show has been a failure, because each one helped me and progressed me, and I genuinely enjoyed and healed from every single performance I've ever done.
How can you fail when you're improvising? It's only when you
can only fail when you set a standard, and there's no standard for improvisation.
Exactly. So if you're measured, now this is why the problem is with me when I'm improvising, when I'm using that measuring stick of rhyming, let's say. And I've heard, because I've delved into this topic of freestyling and practicing freestyling, but You know, there's this really good English guy. I can't remember his name, but he's so good. He's like a comedic improviser. He'll take stuff from the crowd, like kind of like Harry Mack in a way.
I think I've seen him on Instagram.
You must have seen him because he's brilliant, right? Before Harry Mack, anyway, don't want to say who's the best. They're just brilliant improvisers, right? But he was saying, like, don't worry about rhyming with the next word because that gets in your way. Like that's the spoke in the wheel. So for me, I need to let go of that in a way because when I am improvising, because that does block me. It does actually stop. Like when I notice, and I'm using that as the measuring stick, and when I'm, but so I use that as a positive and negative. So when I get a good rhyme, like I feel good. When it's not good, I feel bad. Instead of removing all that bullshit and just actually not measuring it, just letting it happen and being. So you're in a really beautiful place, it seems, with it, in that, like, because if you're not measuring it, then how can you ever fail?
I can't, because expectation creates disappointment. So if you create an expectation, you open yourself up to disappointment immediately. So that's often something I should say as well. When you do create an expectation of a reality you want, and you say, okay, here's what I want to be or do, here's what I have to do to be or do it, you're going to sense this initial, and you probably sense this too, when you go through some type of spiritual journey, there's an initial depression or sadness that comes with realizing you're not where you want to be.
At the bottom of the mountain.
Yeah. And it just seems like a mountain you've got to take care of. So with raising your expectations for life is going to come a new sadness that you're not where you want to be. Because say you're in a position in life and it's not that good, but you're passive and you're not very, you're in that state of mundane consciousness where it's bearable. It's not horrible, but it's bearable, right? And bearable is the worst thing that can happen to any person, because you can stay unbearable for 25 years. If it's hell, you'll jump out of the fire. If life is really bad, the gift that people that have really bad circumstances, if you're in bad circumstances right now, you have a gift. There's a fire under your ass. You've got to jump. If you are born into bearable, okay, that's bad. That's bad. I would rather be in very bad circumstances than bearable, because I've been in both, and bearable lasts a lot longer than very bad, and bearable does a lot more damage than very bad. Bearable just fucking kills your soul, man. You know, it's that monotony. It's like, horrible. And bearable is the most unbearable, you know?
That's like, so now, this year, I gave up, like I got away from all my other things, that like my business, another business that I started building with a friend, and I'm doing just on my own, doing the music thing and doing the work thing. But I built up all these other things that were external to my main fundamental purpose, which I've realized is music now. And I was in a state when I got the first business. I was making a good wage, and I was in control of like the code and stuff. So, and I was just working. It was just great, but I didn't really care about the business itself. Let's say
it didn't excite you.
It didn't excite me. It was just like a money maker. It was just a money maker, right? And so like I wasn't a millionaire, but I was just so comfortable. Yeah. And like I never had this. It's only now. Like when I wake up now, I'm tired because I have so much marketing and stuff to do now with this new single, or when I was editing vocals, I'll be like, as soon as I wake up, I'm fucking on the laptop editing stuff. I'm thinking about, like, I'm pouring everything into this, but I want to. You're
in a state of discomfort now, but it's comforting.
Yes.
You'll find your peace, your comfort in discomfort. Seek out discomfort. Seek the thing you know you have to do, but you don't want to do. And at the other side of discomfort lies the greatest comfort. There is no comfort in you sitting here and putting something off. You may think, okay, I didn't do it today. You know, I can sit on the couch. Do you actually feel okay when you procrastinate? That's the real question. Is it really rest? Is it really time well spent when you're thinking about what you know you have to do? Just get up off your ass. And I know I'm getting angry, but I know there's someone sitting here wasting time watching this very fucking podcast, and you're going to watch something after this. You watched something before this. Instead, if you just stopped spending time half enjoying yourself, half resting, because the truth is your mind's not fully shut off. When you have work you know you have to do, when you have things you know you didn't take care of. You are not rested. You are not watching Netflix and feeling happy. No. You are not sitting there and feeling good about yourself. Deep inside, you have that thing saying, come on, man, you're letting yourself down. So when you get that voice that whispers, because again, God whispers, the devil shouts. The devil's going to shout. He's going to say, come on, lie down today. Come on, this is too much. Yeah.
Yes.
And the angels are going to be saying, come on, you've got things you've got to do. Please don't let yourself down again.
Yeah.
That's what you got to say. You got to say, how long am I going to let myself down?
So this is something I've wrestled with and I've discussed with.
Could I run to the toilet?
Oh please, we'll be right back after these messages. And welcome back to part 2 of the Basil Breen JHNDOE podcast.
Yes, sir.
So what we were touching on there, right, is this is the hard bit, right? Is that okay? Let's say we're discussing about people not making the most of their time, let's say, or not doing what they should do. But I actually think, the problem is that people don't know how to spend their free time. Some of them don't know. They know that they're not doing, let's say the fundamental things are, okay, they know that what they're doing maybe isn't good for them. But it's like, how do we help people? What's the path from going from a place of uninterest to interest? That's
purpose. So the key to going from being uninterested in your life to...
We'll do this live.
Testing.
Go ahead.
The key to gaining an interest in your life is purpose. And the key to finding purpose is exploration. So... And to start exploring, you have to stop doing what you're doing now. So there is something everyone's doing to cope.
Yeah.
So I would say you lay it out. You say, okay, to become interested in my life, I need purpose. For me, that was music. To first get in touch with that purpose, or to figure out what it is that you do that is, rewarding to you, and you happen to be a little bit better at it than the average person, that's generally where your purpose lies. When those two things align, when you enjoy something and you're also kind of skilled at it, maybe not, you don't even have to have that much talent, there's a little bit of an edge to the average person. Whatever it is that comes easy to you and you enjoy it, that's probably where your purpose lies. So as people, we all have something we're better at than the next person. It's find that thing and take it as far as you possibly can to help as many people as possible. Then you will feel, when you sit down at the end of the day, like a worthwhile person.
Yes.
And we're all worthwhile, but I can tell you that it's hard to feel worthwhile while you know you're not fulfilling your pure potential.
Yes.
And, obviously we live in a world where bills have to be paid. We live in a world where reality constantly is here trying to get in the way of our childish dreams, our pipe dreams, and we're constantly told to let go of our idealistic view of reality in exchange for what they give us. So they say, let go of your ideas, let go of your dreams, and here we'll give you safety and sureness. And it's not really safe and sure. It's like you go to college, you get your degree, and who says you're going to get a job at the end of the day? We especially with the way things are now, it's obviously there's opportunities everywhere, but what I'm trying to say is there's alternative routes, and usually your happiness lies in a slightly alternative route. Even if you're doing something that a lot of other people do, you're going to find your edge in doing it a little different. Yeah. So even if you do marketing, you do science, you're a lawyer, whatever it is, you're going to find your edge or advancement by saying, okay, how can I put a spin on this? So say you're a lawyer, it's like, okay, well, the reason I want to be a lawyer is to help people who are being wrongly convicted. So then you have the thing you're good at and a way you use it to better humanity. Yeah. So you've got to have both, though. You can't just say, like, I'm a lawyer, because that's not going to be fulfilling. You've got to say, I'm a lawyer, but here's why I do law. Yeah. You can say, I'm a doctor, but if you're a doctor and you do fucking 80-hour weeks and you get paid a lot, but it's just a mechanical thing to you. You're just someone who blood doesn't bother, and you get no enjoyment out of helping people. You're not going to be as fulfilled as the guy who goes in and he's like, well, my mother had cancer, so I committed my life to trying to help and cure cancer. That's someone taking whatever they happen to be blessed with, be it a mind, be it an argumentative talent, and then using it for the betterment of humanity. So that's where the interest in your life lies. Find what you're good at. Find a way to benefit your fellow person with it. Now, the hardest part is figuring out what you're good at. Yeah. Once you figure that out, everything else is going to be fine. Getting better at that thing will be enjoyable. The challenge of turning that thing into an income will be enjoyable. Enjoy it. Like the challenge. The only bit where you're going to be in limbo is if you haven't figured out the purpose, and everyone has the purpose. So if you found the purpose, great. You skip the hardest step. If you have something you like, you love, get doing it now. You're lucky. You already know what you're good at. If you have a purpose, I cannot stress that enough. I'm blessed. You're blessed. We know what we like to do. Now, I speak again, like I say, I'm always looking for the person that needs the extra tool. The people who don't have that tool in their toolbox yet, the tool of purpose, the tool of that thing that every day you wake up and you know, okay, this is how I define myself. Because we are not defined by these, you know, again, it sounds cliche, but these constructs.
Yeah.
If you wake up and you define yourself by how you dress and what job you have and what degree you have, and you're going to be unfulfilled eventually, unless you
You'll
can
always be unfulfilled.
Yeah, you have to define yourself by the way you better mankind with your purpose.
Yes,
and
you need to define yourself not based on out there, but in here. I think that's the most fundamental distinction, I think. And you've touched on just like so many things, and I think being good at something, like, it doesn't have, like, you don't have to be Elon Musk. You don't have to start like 7 companies, whatever. This is the bit that I don't think people understand. Like, a few people, let's say with this podcast, when I started off, it's like, oh geez, yeah, like hope you start getting like an audience, or hope it starts working out. They had an idea of, like, when I started this, I haven't been thinking, I can't wait till it blows up. And
it's like I hope it works out for you so you can be happy when it does.
But I'd actually just love to do this. I can't imagine not doing a podcast, like, ever, because I love conversation.
It's like that for me with music. I could do music even if it never succeeded. It's not like people come to me and they say the same thing. They're like, oh man, I best of luck with music, and it's like, I'm not gonna wait till I succeed or get a hit song or get the money to be happy. We're enjoying it now. I'm sure, like, I know, I see how excited you are to do podcasts. It's like you, and for music, you have a genuine passion for what you do. And it's like, that is...
But so the other side, so success now, for music, I've understood if I had everything that I wanted, I could do the music more full time, let's say. I could spend more time learning the piano. I could do, because the programming, like, even though it's only 2 days, it like, I am able to pursue loads of things, but I'm also doing marketing, I'm also creating videos, I'm also doing a lot of stuff with it. And I'd love to just imagine I could give, although I always would like to do a bit of programming, right? So anyway, what I'm trying to get at is, the success for me now is, because I love performing for people. I love performing for a crowd, like if it's busking, and then the gig that I did, and bringing people together that wouldn't have been in the room otherwise, except for the fact that I'm doing the thing. I realised I got a kick out of that, but I never knew. It's only been a lot. Like, I only went to my first open mics, let's say, a few months ago, and like to try and build. I built my, skill. I've been busking before that, so I had a lot of the tools and the kit, but I didn't have the confidence in front of people that were sitting there to listen. But now I'm a lot more confident. I made me realise, imagine I could, in my own town, right, just say, I'm doing a gig next week and we're all going to go down and I'm going to sing, and then maybe I'll do karaoke at the end, and we can all, because I think karaoke is another thing that I'd love to bring to the table, because then, alright, so with let's say guitar, like or music, or like you need to learn how to sing, learn how to do all this stuff before you can do the thing. But karaoke is just like a way you
Everyone
have to
can
learn the
join in.
song, yeah, and we can
Yeah.
all enjoy it. And once you get one person up, I've done a few karaoke events, let's say, where once I get people on board, I just love seeing people
Having fun.
doing
and-
what I like. Now you get it, like, you know what I mean. Like one even just there on the weekend. I went to this open mic with my friend Jill. It was her daughter's 18th birthday. I was in Balbriggan and I went up to her, and there was this lad, and he was a bit drunk or whatever, but he would come up to me. He's like, "Oh, would you do a song with me?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll do a song with you." He's like, "Well, what we do? What we do?" And I was like, "I don't know. Like, what do you know?" Like, he's like, "Oh, I don't know." And I was like, "Well, let's do Wonderwall." And he was like, "Oh yeah, but it's not too cliche." It's like, "No, do you know it?" It's like, "Yeah." It's just like, and he kept coming up to me then, like after we decided to do it, it's like, "We could do something else." I was like, "No, come on, let's just do one. Relax." And then we did it, right, and he had a great time.
Yeah.
After he did it, I had to leave then, you know what I mean, basically. But he was like, "Oh, you're going." I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get back up. I'm gonna do it again." Like, because you could tell he wanted to, but he needed that. I was like a gateway drug for him. In
Yeah.
a way. And so with the karaoke, I think giving people that feeling of what it's like to perform and sing, it's such a powerful thing to bring to the table. So I'd love to bring more of that. But let's say if I have success with the music, that's like gives me credibility to bring people together to an event that I'm doing, in a way. Let's say. And if I can build up a reputation as like and my skill set as a host and performer, and I'm someone worth, let's say, going to see and interacting with, then imagine I could do that more. That would be fucking brilliant. So that's success for me now. It's like, because success should be what's going to make your actual experience better.
Yeah, what brings you joy? Like, literally, and that's what I have to also probably define, is that when I speak about success, when I speak about the ideal version of yourself, I don't mean the version of yourself that earns the most money. I don't mean the version of yourself that has the most perceived respect. I mean the version of yourself that day-to-day experiences the most joy.
Yes.
That is what needs to be defined. So if that's to be, you can, any time we spoke on bettering yourself in this, understand we're not just speaking in terms of you may want money, you may want
success. You need to define success for yourself.
Exactly. But what I define success as is who do you have, what life will bring, where would you have the most moments of joy day to day?
Yes.
You know?
That's what it's about.
Euphoria.
And even when you have to wake up and do the grind, like let's say with this album, it's taken a lot of work. But yesterday we finalized like 10 of the songs, right? And I've been super nitpicky, and I've recorded songs before, but I find it hard to listen to them now because I'm like, oh, that bit is coming up where I do that thing, right?
Yeah. And
I know we've talked about improvising and whatever, but the fact I've actually was listening to them, I was like, oh my god, because we put a lot of work in. It's the first time I've been able to actually enjoy the music that I've actually recorded, and the producer, like he's produced like all the music on it, so I can listen to it with like, it's not like I created everything. I did the song, but so I can also enjoy it from that level. But the point is that it was a grind and waking up and doing all this work towards it, but
you can hear the hard work you put in.
But it was pulling me into the future. I didn't even know, and then having this artifact at the end, it's like, holy shit! Like that's what I knew was there.
Yeah.
And I wasn't happy. Let's say if you told me to rate my all-time happiness from second to second, right? I wasn't always at 10, but the fact it's not about like let's say you're happy. It's are you happy at not just happy with your emotional state or whatever. It's like, is the fundamental path that you're on something that you're happy with, or something like that?
Yeah.
Or are you content with living this day? Would you live that day again?
Yeah.
If you knew it was moving you in a particular direction? I don't know. It's hard
I
to
think
define.
what it is people want to, so when you speak of being, you're not always at 10, that's what a lot of people, when we're talking about obtaining happiness, don't expect to be happy all the time. Don't expect to always be at 10. Don't even expect to always be at 8.
Yes.
Aim to frequently be at 10, but understand that at times you'll be at 0, at 3, at 5. It's the ability to operate no matter what number you're at.
Yes.
And it's the ability to, again, go for the life that frequently brings you to 10. But understand that life is not made of 10. If it was all 10, it wouldn't be happening.
Yes.
You'd be crazy, right? So it's actually 0 that makes 10 so beautiful.
Yes.
When you've seen 0, 10 tastes so much
Oh,
better.
it's delicious.
Oh, it's incredible.
Have a nice bite of that 10 apple.
That good old 10.
Yeah. But that's the point, and everything is just transitory in a way. Like everything's always moving, but you have to. The success is basically, and this is what I've realized in the last few months. When I started analyzing, and I was talking to my brother about this, like I don't think I've ever been this happy. Like as in, even though I'm doing all this work stuff, I never felt this aligned with like my inner world and my outer world, and what the things that I'm doing and pursuing have never been more aligned with like what, like there's this, they were kind of out of whack, let's say.
Your soul and your life are finally working
they're finally
together.
working together.
Yeah.
And it's like it's like crazy how, and it took me, God no, like 30 years to get to that point, right? But if I was always on that path, and I didn't even know how good it was going to be until I got there in a way. And I'm still learning, and I'm still growing, and there's still, peaks to conquer. And then there's also probably there's going to be devastating losses in everyone's life, unfortunately. That's just the way it is. So there's ups and downs, and we just have to hopefully, be in a place where I'd like to say, if you could say you could would you live that life again? And I've had horrendous things happen to me. Like, as you could look at it from the outside, like my parents died when I was young, and, they go through some horrible stuff. I was, like, let's say poor for, like, most of my life. Like, now I'm starting to be, I think it's weird because I haven't worried about money in a while. And I remember what it was like to worry about every fucking cent and not be able to do. Now to spend money on, I don't have any vices, but I buy food. Food is my vice now.
Yeah, I love food.
Yeah. But I need something. That's like, but the point that what I'm trying to make is that you don't know what life's going to bring you if you can step on the path. But I just think, what you're saying, explore. You need to explore and find, like, everything is exploration. You don't know, if you don't know what you like, you need to try loads of things.
Yeah.
And you might find that, like, this is why I think, like, going to college at a young age can be so, like, it'd be such a mistake, because you have to decide, like, what I'm going to do for the next 4 years, 3 years. And, like, you mightn't even like it. You don't have a fucking breeze. And you don't have a clue. And you might, and then people, they want to do things, let's say for like, just pure money or just pure success or whatever. But that's not going to, like, that's not that idea. If you think the money is going to make you happy, it's not going to make it. Actually, even though
here's the thing: when you break it down, get rid of money, right? Here's the truth: a small house and a big house, they feel just the same when you go home. You're only in one room at a time. You can't occupy your whole big house. So what the reality is that if you have picked an occupation where you spend 40 plus hours a week doing something you do not enjoy, it is going to break you down over time. No matter how much you get paid, it's not going to offset the spiritual damage.
Yes.
And it's a real thing, spiritual damage. Over time, you'll see these people, you meet them, they might have money, but they don't smile, and don't believe that thing of like all rich people are depressed, all rich people are having a bad time. No, they're not. There's rich people with, families, purpose, everything. In fact, you're actually, sometimes you follow the purpose, you meet the right person, you get the money from your purpose.
Money is an off.
It's an offset of living, stuff. Right? Yes. Yeah, but there's also people you meet and they only have that one piece of the pie. They only have money. And if you see someone, they've been doing something ordinary, or they've been doing something that they're not passionate about so long that they're so far on the path of not trying for something different that, everyone's met someone like that. You can't convince them of otherwise. You can't convince them of the fact that there's still an opportunity. The people that say, it's too late now. Oh. The people that say, well, I've been doing this 10 years now. The people that say, oh, well, I can't go back and do that because people think this of me. Those people, that is the result of the the spiritual damage. That's over time, your hope and your energy. You only have so much energy, right? And if you spend your best years, you only have 20s once. I can only stress this to you. You have your 20s once, your 30s once. If you're lucky, you get through them. Some people don't live that long. And you are going to give your time, your hours building someone else's life. I am not one to say there is any shame in picking a normal job, but please don't take your one life and not at least try at what you want to do or be. Don't. No amount of money is worth that regret. No amount of money is worth looking back and wondering. Nothing is worth wondering. Remember that nothing is worth wondering. That's one thing I can be okay with. At least now I'll know. At least now I'll know what happens.
Well, no matter what happens, you'll know I was fundamentally trying to lie myself.
I know now. I will know, and I will go to sleep peacefully every night, and I do. Apart from the nightmares. I go to sleep in relative peace knowing I'm doing everything I can to achieve my dreams. And should I fail or succeed, I will succeed. I will look back knowing I did everything, and that gives me a peace. I don't want to know about the reality where I don't try. And that's my greatest success. Never having known what happens if I don't try at what I love. I don't want to see that reality. You shouldn't want to either. You shouldn't want to. Nobody should want to see the reality where you didn't try. Because one day, there was some other podcast, and you can look it up and quote it. I'm sure someone's seen it before. It was like, the definition of true hell is when your current self meets the person you could have been. And that's going to happen to everybody that doesn't try one day. You're going to look in the mirror and you're going to see the version of yourself that did everything you wanted and succeeded. The version that pushed past the doubt. The version that didn't make excuses. The version that didn't sell out for money and give up on a dream.
Yes, exactly. Or just give up because of whatever reason. Like, we have all these... Unfortunately... Like, the universe doesn't care if you're too tired or your circumstances or whatever. It's an unfortunate situation that some people find themselves in, and I know I've been in tough situations, and it is hard to find the time sometimes to find the energy to start. Like imagine we were just 1,000 years ago, we wouldn't even be able to philosophize or anything, right? We'd just be hungry, looking for the next meal, looking after our families, right? So it's an absolute, the amount of people that had to die for us is to be able to have the time to consider ideas and purpose and everything.
How much suffering went in from our ancestors, just our two bloodlines. How much suffering went into just us being able to sit here and talk about
and what
this.
a fucking shame it would be if they seen us, right, sitting there watching Netflix. Think how disappointed they'd be. And I'm not saying Netflix has some good stuff every day, but don't give your life to it.
Everyone at home, every single person at home right now, and this has been said before again, but I take this method and I use it because it's so helpful. Don't act like you are not being watched. Okay, you go home and whatever you do, you jerk off, you sit there, you smoke your weed, you watch you do slob shit, you do lazy things, or you do things that do not serve you, or if you had to sit there and watch yourself, you'd be disgusted. You would be disgusted. Now imagine that all your family, everyone is watching you, not just them. Imagine there's a whole, what's that film with Jim Carrey?
Truman Show.
Imagine it's the Truman Show and you're the main character. Now, if you were the main character, the main character doesn't procrastinate. The main character doesn't sit on their ass. The main character doesn't watch Netflix. The main character doesn't jerk off. That never happens.
Well, it never ends that way.
Yeah, it never ends that way. But if there is a point where the main character's doing that, it's often the low of the movie. That's the turning point. That's meant to be the turning point. So if you're there, please let this be the turning point. Or if you're not there, don't let yourself go there. Understand that you could live like a movie character, like the main character. There's nothing stopping you. You
Yes.
are the character you decide you are, be that significant or insignificant. Let me say this, everything can be rationalized. You can rationalize to yourself why you're going to be a failure and why it's not going to work. Similarly, you can rationalize to yourself why you will be successful and why it will work. Everything from genocide to world peace can be rationalized.
Yes.
Everybody that ever did anything thought they were doing the right thing. That includes people like Hitler.
Yes.
They rationalized to themselves that this was the right thing. They believed it,
Yeah.
believed that. Every wrong, evil, sick person in history rationalized it. So
If
to
you
the
were them,
ve-
they wouldn't think it was bad.
Exactly. Yeah, if you were in the mind of these people, you would think you're good. So you must understand that you can rationalize your success to yourself, and you can also rationalize sitting on your ass.
Yes.
And it's about which one you choose to do. Now, my way of rationalizing my success is that constant imagining of eyes on me, because I feel like when we feel we're not being watched, oftentimes that's the only thing that keeps us in check.
Yes.
We will go home and act a completely different way to the way we portray ourselves and want.
Yes.
We all subconsciously are trying to be seen a way, I believe.
Yes.
I feel like when we give up on that, then we start to really shine. But a lot of people, you'll go out, you'll try to seem a way, you go home, and I guarantee you the person at home when you're by yourself is not the person you portray to everybody
Yes.
else. Now, if you were to maintain the standard when you're out with your friends or when you're in work, if you were to keep your integrity when you're by yourself,
Yes.
that is the key to being a great human being. Keeping your integrity 24/7, acting like there's lights and eyes and cameras constantly. Because the real battle, it's not when you're out there, it's not impressing them. It's, will you keep your integrity when there's no one there to hold you up to it?
Yes.
Will you do it when you're in the room and no one but you is there to criticize you? You said earlier, I'm my biggest fan and my greatest critic, and I think that is, I suffer from the critic thing, but I
Yeah.
think that balance is brilliant,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you need to be able to push yourself along. You need to be a fan of yourself, but you also need to be able to
Yes,
say,
hold
come
yourself
on, man,
accountable.
come
Yes.
on, you know you're not doing the right thing. So you have to get in the habit of looking at yourself when no one else is there to watch you. Be the watchman and say, come on, man, this is bullshit. Come
Yeah.
on, get up, serve yourself. Or come on, girl, get
Yes.
up and do it. Go, you go.
Just come on.
You know?
Well,
because no one else is going to do it. No one's in your living room. No one's in your bedroom. No one's there to say, please do this for you.
Yeah.
And
you have to become
Yeah.
you have to become your own friend in a way, and you have to, what you described, that's what integrity is. It's when there is alignment between the person you are with the world and the person you are in private. Like, that is actually what
genuine integrity.
that's a genuine integrity.
Anything else is a false integrity. If
Yes.
you have integrity outside, but you go home and you're not that person, and I should stress, integrity, it lies in the mind. Any old great, if you look at the real studies, I'm not talking modern age spirituality, I'm talking go back, do your studies, look up the Yogi Publication Society, the Masonic Temple. They released a string of books in the science of the mind, real spirituality, not the new stuff, not the filtered stuff, the corrupted stuff you're being fed through social media. A lot of that is wrong. You know, crystals aren't going to get you anywhere. Your mind, all the power lies in you, not outside idol symbols, no necklace, nothing you put on your wall, as great as it may be. The power, this only represents you.
Yes.
You understand? So any idol you idolize, you're only idolizing a faint mirror of
Yes.
your own,
A slight reflection in a
magnificence.
puddle.
Yeah. Nothing compares to the true powerful essence of a human being.
Yes.
And that's why you must understand the key. People talk about the master key, the secret, the pearls of wisdom, the philosopher's stone, the ability to turn copper to gold, the transmutation,
Yes.
this intangible knowledge that we know is out there, and once you obtain it, you're able to do things the other person might not be able to. Look up
Yes.
the master key, look up your laws of the universe, but understand that this key, this unlocking force, It's only in here,
Yes.
specifically here. It's only in your mind. You might be sitting here thinking, I don't have connections, I don't have money, I don't have knowledge, I don't have this, I don't have that. You have all of that. All of that is in here. And I mean that in a real sense. Like, if you can hold the idea of anything, if you can hold the idea of a more talented version of yourself, if you can hold the idea of meeting the person you need to meet, you will.
Yes.
It will happen. I am seeing it in my own life, and as I achieve,
I'm seeing it right now.
Yeah, as I achieve what I need to achieve, people will listen more. You said earlier, you
Yes.
said I need credibility.
Yes.
I don't want fame and money to get fame and money. I need fame and money so that people will be able to look back at this interview and say, "Fuck, he did it. All the shit he was saying there must be
Yes.
true because he succeeded."
Yes.
That's why I need to succeed, so that people listen more. Because there's some people that are going to listen to this and they're going to recognize the knowledge, but there's other people amongst you that are going to say, "He's not there yet." And I'm not. But I will be. And that is the driving force between my need to succeed personally. I need to succeed because the bigger I am, the more people will listen to me.
Yes.
The more money and fame I manage to attain, the more people will take you seriously.
Yes.
Because results are
Go,
what
hang
people
on, there
will
must be
believe
something
in.
to all that stuff he's saying.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because I can only tell you I'm fulfilled. I can only tell you my life is consistently unfolding in a better manner as I believe in myself. Now, these are facts, but it's really hard for me to reach through the screen and demonstrate to you how my level of happiness went from beneath the floor to above the clouds. It's really hard for me to make you see how drastically my life changed. What I can say is, no matter what happens after this, no matter what successes come, and they will come, the biggest changes have already happened to me.
Yes.
Because I've been right down to a place where I did not want to live. I have been on stage in my 4 shows and I was not sure whether I should have been on this earth. So what you have to understand is that the greatest gift is not going to be the things that your purpose gives you. It's just the purpose. It's the purpose itself.
Yes.
So I know I keep going on and on and on and on and on about purpose, but it's because that is my purpose, okay? My purpose is helping you find your purpose.
Yes.
You said earlier, you felt like a guy you dragged up and you helped. You were like a gateway drug. And I think it's that thing of giving people tools. But as artists, that's a great way to put it. We should be a gateway drug to you and your success.
Yes.
You and your better version of yourself. There's a lot of artists you're going to listen to you, and they're not going to offer you anything. There's agendas in music today. They want you to consume. They want you to believe certain things about yourself, to feel a certain way. Consider the artist you're listening to. What's their intention? Who are they as a human being? Because I can guarantee you, my intention for you is only pure. I don't want to take advantage of you. I don't want to take you and use your time and attention to better myself. I need your recognition and your understanding of my pain, because that's what heals me. That's what drives me. But I gain my greatest sense of fulfillment through knowing or feeling or hoping that I can help someone on the other side. So understand that is my main driver. If you want to know who John Doe is, if you want to know who I am, what I want you to be the best version of yourself. I want you to succeed. I want you to be happy. I want you to not have to struggle as much as I have had to struggle. Because I'm so young and I have struggled so much. I know that there's people younger than me who are more unhappy, who have struggled more, who have seen far worse. And older, whatever, age doesn't matter, it's
But there's even people, when you think about the suffering that you're alluding to, there's even worse. There's even more.
It's just that's the thing, that because I think I've had it bad, and then you meet people, do you ever meet someone that they tell you a story and it just floors you? You always meet these people and they say they're hurt so casually.
I know
people who've been through massive amounts of hurt. They say it so casually. They'll say the most life-changing, destroying story, and you'll be like,
"Yes,
Jesus Christ!" And
but the problem, the whole problem is something that this kind of ties back to a little bit. Is when you're sitting on the couch, when you're doing not what you should be doing, because you kind of fundamentally know if you're not in the right place, whatever that means, is that you use, unfortunately, and it's hard to not blame people, because let's say they go through a tremendous amount of suffering and just say, oh, well, now I'm this way because that happened to me and I can't do anything about it. It's the same when we say I'm too old, or I'm too whatever.
Rationalization.
They rationalize it. So unfortunately, like, people go through some terrible times, and it can go one way or the other. You can say, well, that's the full stop of my whole life now. My whole life will be defined as, oh, well, I can't do that because this happened to me. You know what I mean? And so somehow we have to help. The transcendence of pain is like
the transmutation of pain into
Yes.
something more beautiful. That's because I was at that point in my life. I was at a point right before I started music where my belief was, well, I have been given an abnormal amount of suffering in my early life, and that has made me broken or damaged in some way, and therefore incapable of being as good as the next person. What I came to understand was that was actually the reason why I would excel past my fellow person. Not placing me above them, but just placing me at a better version of myself. Each person has the ability to excel, but my way of excelling came from the very thing that I thought would break me, the very thing that I thought made me unfit for life, the thing that I thought made me unworthy, the thing that I thought made me tarnished or broken goods. The thing you think has made you broken goods, the thing you think has made you a victim. It's that thing of, do you have a victimhood mentality or a survivor mentality? Has it made you weaker or stronger? I said it. You can rationalize anything, no matter what's happened to you, no matter what type of hurt, abuse, wrong has been done to you. You can either take this and say, this is why I'm broken. This is why I'm broken goods, damaged goods, flaws. This is why I will never be up to the task of life because it broke me early on. Or you can say, it made me strong early on. This is my power. This is why I can power past the people beside me because they have not seen the hurt I've seen. So whatever let's get on to a third law of the universe, the law of equivalent exchange. If the pendulum swings this way, it's going to swing back the next way. So if you've had an exceptionally bad experience, an exceptionally bad time, I promise you that should you decide upon it, and only should you decide upon it, it's not just going to automatically happen. Should you decide upon it, you will have an equal or more equivalent exchange to the bad you've had. So in terms of, for myself, the level of pain I've experienced has opened a level of ability to create and connect with people that normal people don't have. I've had so much connection with people and so much. The last 6 months, I've had more conversations, more hugs, more shaked hands, more
love,
deep
maybe.
conversations and love than I've had in my whole life previously. And that's the pendulum swing now. My life for a very long time was on a negative pendulum swing, and just now is it starting to come back. As my life unfolds in front of you people over the next few years, you will see this pendulum swing come back, and you will see it in your own lives should you decide upon it. But understand that how bad it's went is just it preparing to launch you into the good that's waiting for you.
Yes.
You couldn't have went into it if you started off with the pendulum in the middle. That's why I say being born into bearable is the worst.
Yes.
Because that's when the pendulum's in the middle. It doesn't need to move. When you go to the extreme, to the bad, it's gotta swing back.
Yes. That's where the growth is, unfortunately and fortunately, in a way. It's kind of beautiful when I think it's a terrible realization to think this, but like my mom had to die and my dad had to die for me to be the person that I am, let's say, here now. But that's like, okay, I can point to that as an event that happened during my lifetime, but I don't even know about the countless atrocities that had to happen just for me to be here. So even if nothing's happened in your current life, let's say, there's been and even World War II had to happen for us to be here. So we're living the fundamental thing that I think that I'd like to allude to now is that you're living a story, right? You're always, no matter what, right? Your story has a beginning and an ending, and you have the potential to make a good story, and a good story doesn't have to be this big fucking like launch to Mars, right? Like, how many beautiful movies are there where the hero is just an everyday hero, and
they're the better ones. They're
Yes!
the best ones because that's
what
real.
they're real.
Yeah,
and they
literally.
speak to the truth, and you can live no matter what. You can look back at your story and then close the book on that and say that was a good fucking story.
Yeah. Would it have been good if there was no struggle? Like I say, imagine the cameras are on. Would they be entertained? Jim Morrison said, funnily enough, in his movie about his life at the start, he says, "Did you live a life they could have made a movie about?" And the truth is, if there was no downs, no suffering, there was no problem to overcome, what was the point? It'd be so boring if it was good all the time. Relish your problems. Be grateful for them.
Yes.
Be grateful for them. Truly be grateful for everything. Because only when you're grateful for something can you transmute it into something better. So long as you're sickened by it being there, so long as you're angry at its presence, you can't transmute it into something positive. You have to be happy it's there. No matter how bizarre it sounds, like what you said, it's you can look at death with a positive outlook.
Yes.
That's the extent of it. And that's an incredible thing. That's a powerful thing.
Yes.
That's a very powerful thing.
Yes, it's the transmutation of everything. So I had this realization as I've been doing this story, because I have a picture of like my parents in my room, let's say, at my workstation. So as I'm doing all these things, and it was a kind of unconscious thing. And this is a strange one, because my dad, like, I used to have that picture on that wall, right? And I don't want to say what the event was, but I had an event in my life, and when I came home, that picture was on the floor, right? And now I, instead of putting it on the wall, I was like, I got a frame for it because the frame broke, and I ended up in that corner just as I was doing this podcast, strangely enough. And it's like he found his way into the shot or something in a weird kind of way, right? And I realized that, and this was a beautiful realization, because like my mother, like, she killed herself, so like there was tremendous suffering, let's say, in my immediate point of reference. So then I realized I know it's probably not possible, but with my life, I'm gonna do my fucking best to make all that worthwhile. Like, when I'm finished, I'd be like, what I'm shooting for would be something that you could look at and say, he tried to make all that suffering worthwhile. Worth something. But everyone is doing that, and you might have the immediate pain, but you can say, like, all the atoms in the universe have to exist at this point for you to be here. Everything has to be here for you to be here. And what are you going to do? And if you listen to this, you're in a developed country, potentially. Yeah. So we have such an opportunity.
I like that saying, it's like you stand on the shoulders.
A little bit, just a little bit. There we go. Yeah, you're grand.
The thing of you stand
on... You don't be too crazy, like, but you know what I mean? I was just worried about, like, you're just drifting off into the universe. Sorry, what were we saying?
Oh, shit.
Oh, no, you're grand. Now we're thinking about it.
I don't think...
Yeah, you're grand.
I don't think we stand on the shoulders of giants. I think you stand on the bodies of your ancestors.
Yes.
The truth be told.
Which is a giant!
It's a bit gnarlier, but you stand on the bodies of your ancestors. You stand.
It's not really a Hallmark card.
Yeah. You stand on their pain. You stand on their death. You stand on their struggle. And like you said, even if you've no struggle of your own, if you do live a life of privilege, I guarantee you someone struggled. Be it mommy and daddy, be it grandpappy and grandma before them.
Yes.
Someone wasn't rich. So even if you're privileged, at some point in your bloodline, someone really had to pull it out of the dirt.
Yes.
And you let them down by not being the next person in the line to work their ass off.
Yes.
So pain, no pain, you owe it to either yourself or those around you.
Or just the lineage of humanity.
Yeah, exactly. Just to this.
Yeah, you owe it to this!
Exactly.
But that's what it is. You owe it to this.
Yeah.
That's the best way of saying it. Whatever this is. And just, I want to touch on, because, like, from what I can see, right, all I've seen is from your performance, just the improv, which I think is already shown people. It's showing people how to be, let's say, vulnerable, more free, showing them that they don't have to worry too much about living. Let's say, right. So that's one thing that I could see bringing to the table. But let's say with recorded music, right, with songs, let's say, that have reached into me at certain points in my life, and like, you know, twisted a knob that showed me something like the recorded aspect of, let's say, a planned song can have such an impact in a way. So as you're moving forward on this pursuit, and obviously we don't know, like this, let's say the podcast came out of being like, I didn't know it was going to come, and then I didn't know certain things were going to come, and you discover stuff as you're moving on the path. But are there other pointers that you could say, okay, what are kind of the actions that you're going to, like, that you're looking to take? Are you looking to perhaps record more music? Are you
Right now, I'm working hard. Like, I mean, every day I've recorded over 3,000 songs in total.
Jesus.
It's because of the work rate. Now, amongst that, there's a lot of shit.
Yes.
But because of the way I work, I can, when I get that 1 in 10 or 1 in 5 gem, and I get it right.
1 in 3,000. That's gonna be a good one. There's no doubt. Like.
Yeah.
No, but that's the brilliant way of doing it.
You can't do that many things. You can't.
One of them's gonna be better than the rest of them.
Yeah,
There's no way.
Like. So I failed a lot on the way to building up talent or building up some form of ability in what I do, but I've recorded a lot of music that's now been boiled down into a body of work, singles, an EP, and an album by the name of Voluntary Insanity. Like
Brilliant.
I said earlier,
Voluntary Insanity.
Yeah, I think we're all crazy, but you pick the crazy that serves you and those you love. I've said that on the last podcast, and I'll say it on this because I live by it. Pick the crazy that serves you and those you love. And when you pick something, the bigger it is, the more likely you'll be called crazy. The better it is, the more likely you'll be called crazy. In fact, if no one's calling you crazy, you're probably not dreaming.
Yeah.
So I will be releasing an album and an EP. I haven't decided on the name of the EP yet, but the album will be named Voluntary Insanity.
Such a good name.
I'm working on videos. I actually just got an animated video this morning back for one of my songs.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so what
did you get? Did you get it like Fiverr or some other place? Or?
Just this guy. He worked with he did a video for some friends of mine, and I just seen it on Instagram. I hit him up. I was like, yo.
That's why, like, you reached out to me. You're like, oh, can I come on your podcast?
Yeah.
And I can see that now. Because you're driven with this purpose, that you're
not
waiting.
waiting on opportunities.
You're not waiting.
Yeah, I never wait on an opportunity to present itself. Like people are always joking, like, Jesus Christ, you're at every gig I see, you're at every stage opportunity there is, and it's like, yeah, because I can't. If I'm in it's that thing of, I've taken this to the point that if I'm sitting in my room and I know there's a gig, I know there's an open mic somewhere, I don't feel okay if I'm not taking every possible opportunity to place myself out there. And the thing is, such is the way it worked out. The opportunities I've encountered thus far, how I've had them presented to myself, if this makes sense, is if I hadn't have taken every possible step, I wouldn't have gotten the opportunities. I had to do the most to get the things I've gotten so far, and I know I'm going to have to continue to do so. Understand this, if you're not doing the most, someone else is. Someone is sitting there and taking every single avenue and door and window and gutter.
Cranny, everything.
Exactly. So even if you're talented or if you're good at something, you can't be complacent. You can't sit on your ass, because there's a guy with maybe less talent that's working every day, but there's possibly a guy with more talent or equal talent who's also working every day. So talent is not enough. You have got to be up every fucking opportunity.
No one is going to, like, you can't wait. Like, you can't wait for me to reach out to you and say...
Exactly, because I need an opportunity to speak.
Yes.
I have things I want to say.
Exactly.
You know, so I'm constantly seeking out this.
You just say, oh, he has a podcast. I'll just ask him, can I come on?
Yeah, literally, be it a stage, be it a studio, be it a this. I am constantly seeking out somewhere where I can push myself out and reach. If even this reaches one new person, because I'm sure a bunch of people watching this.
Well, it's reaching me.
Yeah, exactly. You are the one person.
This will change. Like, you've no idea how this will impact my life, and not just like because of all the stuff you said, which has been amazing. But every interaction you have with anybody is life changing. Like, you've no idea. When I have another podcast, I'll be like, oh, I had John Doe on before, and next time I'm doing a podcast, I'll be like, it's like John Doe said in my previous, and like, it's like the way I talk about like Killer Cole or like Anne, like they were here and they've left their mark. Like, you know what I mean? They're talking points.
Yeah,
and that's what's building up. Like I can't even describe. Like, my life just seems it's very perplexing and overwhelming at times. And especially this now, because a lot of what you're speaking to, these are ideas and stuff that I've struggled with for years and will continue to struggle with. You know what I mean? It's never really over, and there's always more to be discovered in a way as we're delving into these topics. And it's just brilliant how you've kind of you've got a great, like, if you don't mind me, like, how old are you?
I'm 21.
What? That is amazing. Like, I thought I was philosophically minded, let's say, at 21, but I never had. I didn't have. I was doing a lot. I smoked a lot of weed, a lot of partying, a lot of pills, a lot of drink, a lot of just taking this life for granted, right? Yeah. And now I look back, obviously, whatever I had to do to get to this point is whatever happened. So, like, it justifies. It's like the note. I'm singing the note now that justifies everything that came before, right?
Exactly.
But I'm at the other end of it. But it's brilliant to see, like, because you have if anything, the opportunity that presents itself to you has even more weight to it, because you've discovered earlier than most, let's say, that of the fundamental purpose of your being. And so, like, that's a burden now. Like, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but like, you're feeling that weight now, and you have such a great opportunity now, and like, you're speaking with such eloquence and such depth, and it's just brilliant, and I can't wait. So you're gonna record. So the plan is to record. When? Like, what? How would you go about? How would you? So do you have like sort of improv songs that you're gonna like record properly then?
What you would see them, I would say, like, you'd have to probably speak to Wayne in terms of that, because he's the only person you know that's seen the difference. But
yes.
There's a large difference between my recorded material and my live material.
Yes.
Two actually completely different things, which people won't really... Because thus far, I've just been playing live. People are... I'd imagine people that have seen my live things will be very, very surprised when they see my recorded music, because it's, for all intents and purposes, listening to this, you're not going to know it's freestyle. You're not going to know these were one take. They are highly, they're all structured. They're all the way this has come together. Say songs months apart, tied together perfectly into a body of work. So it's come into this really good flowing, perfect almost body of work that I didn't have to try to make it that way. I gave it the time to become itself, and I didn't rush it, and it happened the right way.
It's like it's me and my producer, we had this very spirit with, like, I think with music and stuff, it speaks to the ineffable anyway. So a lot of musicians and people in music, they get a sense for like the grandeur of the world, but we were like, it's weird. Like, we were listening back to some of the songs, and he's done so many albums for people, and he kind of was saying, I think that, like, sometimes it feels like the songs are marinating when we're not there. It's like they're like, and then we go back. It's like, oh, they're ready now. Like, they've had a little life of their own in a way, and what you're describing is so brilliant, because especially with improv stuff, and when you see the alignment, so with improv and what you're describing, right? I imagine that it's much more. It's like you're not create. It's like they're synchronistic by definition. Let's say
I'm less creating, more conducting. I would like to point that out. It's not me.
Yes.
It's not a talent. It's not. I'm not any better than anybody else with disabilities to do this. There's a lot of people that can freestyle to a large extent, but what it is well, you're
you have to think, actually, this just occurred to me now. By speaking, you're improving.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just it's a slightly more rhythmic speaking.
Yes.
That's how I look at it. So you as an artist, you are a mouthpiece, a conductor of ideas. Ideas in and of themselves, what you must understand as a creative is they are conscious. There is ideas out there, negative and positive, almost not conscious entities or energies, but primal energies that wish to manifest themselves in the physical plane and can only do so through a conductor, can only do so through a spirit in a
Yes.
physical being that will use this idea and be the medium for it to make itself
Yes.
real.
Yes.
So imagine angels and demons, if you want to call them that, looking for a person that's perfect to manifest that idea out in the world. So
Yes.
say, to bring it back to fucking the worst people in history, say Hitler. The Holocaust was an idea out there waiting to make itself real. A
Yeah.
very demonic, bad, hell
Yes.
incarnate idea that found its conductor. And that's a
Yes.
dangerous thing. Bad ideas can find their perfect conductor. We're seeing it now
Yes.
in our world. But good ideas, ideas from the source, ideas from the thing, the energy that wishes to see us all prosper, the abundant ideas, they're desperately looking for mouthpieces too, desperately.
Yes.
And it is our role as artists to be a mouthpiece for the correct source.
Yes.
And understand it is seeking you constantly. These ideas are you hear them, they speak to you throughout your day, and they say, make me real, make
Yeah,
me
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah. Come
song,
on,
come
yeah.
on, let
you
me
know
live.
you should start writing again.
Let me
You have to start
live,
this
yeah.
again. Let me
So,
live.
yeah,
You're just joking.
yeah, these things want to be real. They possess you. I feel possessed when I'm on stage. When I make my music in the studio, particularly, it's a the reason my recorded music is different is I'm in isolation. It's very,
Yes.
very different because I'm drawing primarily on my own energy, and it's actually sometimes a lot darker, the music. But it, you, yeah, as an artist, you are just a conductor of ideas. The
Yes.
ideas are in some way, in some form, conscious and looking to manifest themselves through beings. So you are going to be used by energy. That's all. We are all used at some point, and you are either going to be used by negative or positive ideas. So the thing to watch out for is someone else is probably trying to use you in their play, their
Yes.
game, use you as a way to conduct their idea. So that's
Yes.
why I say it's so important to have purpose, because you're either going to be a conduit, a conductor of your own purpose, or you're just going to fall in with someone else's purpose.
Yes.
If you're not your own cause, you'll be affected. They'll be the cause, and you'll be just one of their effects.
Yes.
And they will use you to manifest their life and reality. And that's why I say, please don't give your 20s away. Don't give your 30s away.
Don't give your days
exactly.
away.
Don't give anything away. Keep it for yourself and those who need it. Your time can be better spent almost
Yes.
always. That's the point I'm trying to make now. So again, it might seem like I'm sitting here as a guy with not much trying to preach and tell you how to live your life.
This is the problem that people don't understand, right? That the ideal is the ideal. What you're describing is like it's an ideal way of being, like that you've, let's say, penciled off and said that's the ideal, right? And that's what you should aim for, right? But let's say philosophers, people mistake the ideal for the person speaking them, right? Because they don't have to, like when you say, oh, like it's hypocritical that they're saying this, but it's not aligning. They're not understanding that the ideal is not the person in a way, and that goes for
the
everything.
Information holds its own way separate to me.
Yes,
that's what
exactly.
I say. One thing I wanted to point out is don't disregard me because of my age. Okay, I'm 21, but understand I
don't disregard. There's no need. There's no reason to disregard anything if it's as long like so you
if you are older than me, it may be very easy to look at me and say, oh, I'm young. I can't draw anything from this guy. I can't take anything from this guy. It might be easier if you're my age or younger than me to listen to me and say, well, this guy might understand the life I'm living because he's around my age. He's living in it. Well, understand, if you're 30, if you're 40, you can still benefit from this. In fact, maybe more, because the fresh young ideas of a young mind might help you if you've been stuck in your ways.
Whenever the ideas find you, it's interesting now because some ideas, let's say if I've been presented with them at certain times in my life, they'll mean different things depending on the snapshot of my current consciousness or whatever. But what I just want to touch on, if if anybody finds themselves trying to say, oh, well, this guy's too young, they haven't done anything, this podcast, that Basil lad's fucking too loud, whatever it is, right? I wonder if you are too afraid to let the ideas in or to think about them. That's like the demon. That's like saying, oh no, don't listen to that.
It's easier to find a reason to disregard.
You can always do that.
Yeah.
No, but you might say, right, you might point to things like your age, whatever, but someone could even say, I fucking hate his t-shirt.
Yeah,
I'm not listening to a lad with a stupid t-shirt.
Literally, you could I'm not gonna, anything. It is easier to find a reason to disregard someone than to ponder into something.
Let
because
it in
what
for
they
a
said,
minute.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
It might make you uncomfortable, but you might learn something.
Yes.
You know, or even if you can't draw anything from me, at least consider a different point of view.
Just let it.
Exactly. I can't help everyone. I can probably only help 1 out of 1,000 people that would possibly encounter this. But all I'm here to do is try to help. I'm not saying I can help. I'm not saying I know better than you. I'm not saying I have some set way to live life. I'm saying here's what I've come to understand. Here's what I think from my experience. I'm going to offer that to you, and if you think that works for you too, go ahead. If it doesn't, someone else out there will be able to offer you it.
Yes.
Or you will be able to offer you it. But all I can do is at least try use whatever platform I have to try better someone's life. So that's all I'm trying to do.
Yes.
I would like to stress that. I'm not trying to say I know better than someone else. I'm here trying to offer whatever knowledge I feel I may have and just really fucking bleed that out on my soul.
Passing it on. Here you go. Here's something I have.
Otherwise, my pain, everything I've been through, it holds no weight. If I went through that, I hurt like that for no reason. If I can't get up here and hope and pray that someone else that needs it is out there listening.
Yes.
And I know they will be, because I will attract it and you will attract it. It will be so, because the people that are speaking and looking for someone to listen are always found by the people that are looking to hear something.
Yes.
It's just the way. The law of attraction. It's real.
Yes, I appreciate, and it's like it's so strange because I'm always there's always a part of my brain that's analyzing things at a meta level. So as you've been speaking like today and everything, I'm just thinking, what is going on? As in, so this podcast, let's say for example, and like the being that I've become, and the situation of me with the laptop and you with the mic has now allowed like your spirit to manifest in a particular way for this particular amount of time. And I'm just like, and then you understand, like straight away when I seen you point to the camera, I was like, oh, he understands the dynamic that I've actually tried to create. You know, when I go, welcome back to the Basil Breen Boombox,
you wanted to feel like you're in the room with us, and
but that's what I'm saying. People pretend that, like, well, other podcasts, they like to pretend it's just the two people.
The camera's not there.
I actually think that a big factor in because just seeing you looking at the camera is like, oh, he gets what I try to do, because I'm fully aware that I'm being recorded. That actually adds to it, because now I'm like, I'm trying to bring value to the world. I'm not just thinking, oh, we're just having a conversation.
It's that thing of having the camera on you all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god. That's what brings it forward. If I knew someone was watching all the time, and I heard, like, there's loads of thought experiments I've heard, but some lad actually he hired loads of assistants to watch him work day in, day out. Or I know another CEO, he's live streams everything he does, so he doesn't go open a new tab.
Accountable.
Yeah. So it's so there's so many aspects to this whole thing, but it's been I'm actually just blown away. Like, I really appreciate everything that you're doing, everything you've said, everything you're bringing to the table, and I'm happy that I've been able to give you a bit of a platform. And I was wondering if we could attempt some of this improv.
I
right?
would love to,
now,
man.
I haven't played the Baron in a while, right? So what I think we
do you have a guitar by any chance in the house?
I do.
Oh.
All right. We'll be right. If you want to keep speaking for a second, you can. If you can think of something.
You know what? I might actually.
Yeah, keep going.
So, while I'm here by myself, I would like to say, what would I like to say? Let me think. I think that Pain is power. I've said it before, I say it again. Pain is power. All is power, really. All experiences can be transmuted into some form of extra energy for your manifestations. So learn to look at everything as fuel. Learn to look at everything that occurs and happens to you as fuel. When people give you criticism, look at it as fuel. When people give you positive feedback, look at it as fuel. When a bad thing happens, it's fuel. When a good thing happens, it's fuel. When nothing happens, it's fuel, because nothing's happening. You need that's driving you on now, the stagnation. So everything can be transmuted. Study alchemy. Study your laws of the universe.
And watch the Basil Breen Boombox!
Hey!
Oh man,
this is gonna be fun.
What do you need?
Is there something a little harsher that I could like speak over? Something that has a bit of like.
See, I'm not a guitar like fucking aficionado. You know what I mean? I'm just like a fucking cowboy.
Something with a bit of like ting to it. Pain comes, disguise as problems, transmute to blessings. It all makes sense in time. You gotta stop pretending that you know everything. 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 It'll all make sense in time. Blessings in your curses, man, it's so sublime. It'll all make sense in time. Just let go, watch all your world align. Looking over the hole at the whole of time. Looking at the world and thinking how it could all be mine. Oh, it could all be mine. It'll all make sense in time. See the pain that comes disguised. It'll all make sense in time. See the devil feeds you lies, while he screams and screams and screams and screams, while the angels whisper and they fantasize of the things you do just to make your life one that people could drop some happiness from. I guess you'll never know, not unless you go. I guess you'll never know. Stop acting like you've seen it all. Stop acting like you're done. Stop acting like it's too late to be everything you want. It'll all make sense in time. The pain, it comes disguised. The devil feeds you lies. Alignment so sublime. The devil feeds you lies. It'll all make sense in time. While the demons scream, the angels sing, they whisper and they hope you'll sign. And they hope their signs will shine. And they hope your eyes are open like your ears, and the wisdom lays inside where it needs to be. In an open heart is softened by the Creator and what He brings. Leave it wide open. Don't be afraid of pain. Let your scars bring strength. Leave your heart wide open. Wear it on your sleeve. Don't be afraid of pain. It'll all make sense in time. Alignment so sublime. The devil feeds you lies, while the angels cry, whispering in your mind.
Woo! I don't know what happened there.
I like that one.
Alright, we're gonna fucking cut. That's gonna be the one, alright?
That can be the one we put on.
I'm not like great on the guitar, you know what I mean? I have enough to if you ever watch Christy Moore,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He just has like C. He has a few chords, but it's all about the strum.
Yeah.
That's why I actually got a bear on to try and loosen up my hand. And if you see Student, his hand's so loose.
It's crazy.
So,
man.
it's insane. But so I'm actually trying to learn. I think piano is going to be the one where I can express more, because it's like the piano's more.
I love piano more.
It's in front of you. Everything like the musical theory.
Do you feel it flows more?
Yeah, I feel. It's hard for me to I don't have a desire. I have a desire. The guitar's great for just getting something going and me singing, but it's more a vehicle for that. Whereas the piano, I feel like it's gonna take me time. Like, you know what I mean? I only started like in the last few months, but when I type, like I've been typing for years. Rhythm, like there's loads of stuff that actually make me, that have helped me, like, let's say, accelerate my learning.
The coding mindset's applied to.
With typing with your fingers, you'd be so surprised.
Gives you that dexterity.
Yeah, it gives you. So I have muscle memory of like not looking at the keyboard and typing. Let's say, for example. So I know what it's like to play it. So I'll be posting videos soon. Like, I've been trying to learn my new single Nelson. So my plan is to do a piano version, do like an a cappella version, do a guitar version,
right,
and then I think that'll be all the versions really, except for like 3 of them. So I'll have clips of each one of them. So it's like anyway, won't get too into it. But John fucking Doe, everybody, that's what I'm talking about. We'll obviously we'll put links and stuff. Keep an eye out for what is it? Insanity.
Voluntary insanity.
Voluntary insanity. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep an eye out if you have an interest in the spiritual, if you have an interest in wanting to advance yourself, if you have an interest in, what lies beyond this human experience and condition, and you seek to understand some things, and you don't just want to listen to music, I would say, seek me out again. Find me. I will continue to offer what I've offered here, if that's what you resonate with.
Yes.
I make music for fun, but primarily, if you're looking for music that offers you something that speaks to the pain you've been through, seek me out again. I'll be here. I'm always going to be here. I'm never going to leave till the day I die.
Yes.
I'm going to be doing this shit.
And we'll bring him back when he's launched his album and everything else. We'll have to get him back. And he's learned a few more
Basil
lessons.
Breen. Keep watching Basil Breen.
We'll keep the light shining, waiting for him to come back to pass the baton to.
One day.
But I really, I just really appreciate what you've brought to the table here.
I really appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, no, it's been. It was just. I knew I was excited anyway, but it's gonna take a while to digest. Just the sort of profundity and immensity of what I feel is taking place here today, and I'm just glad that you got to shine in a way. I felt that you were shining as like you were liberated from whatever shackles that could ever be on you, like to just say your fucking whatever the message was. And I'm happy that you're out there in the world. And just keep doing it, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
And look, we'll catch you in the next one. How many? Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do actually, because like when you first started going off, right, I was just thinking, oh, I'll use that as the clip, and then I'm like, oh, that'll be, and then I'm like, oh, it's just gonna be a whole. I'm gonna have to clip the whole. You're gonna give it to you the clip. But anyway, you'll know whatever clip I used. Anyway, we'll leave it there and we'll catch you in the next one again.